Today we are presenting mathematical literacy. I'm hoping that the educators did bring some of the material, but we'll be showing some of it in the smart board. I will take the silence as a yes that everyone is ready. Please, let us make sure that before you answer a question or before you ask a question, please make sure that the mic that is there on that sensor is green. The lights on the mic is green before you speak so that we can hear you. And while the lesson is going on, can you please make sure that the mic is off? Let's make sure that the mic is only on if you have a question to ask or if you have an input to make on the presentation. Okay, today we'll be looking at packaging. We'll be looking also at assembling, which are our topics for term 3, and then we'll be looking at how to take paper 2 questions, as well as analyzing the box and whisker plots and analyzing the BMI charts. Alright, then without wasting any time, can we begin by looking at packaging, which I'm sure we are doing along with our revision for term 3. So I'll post an activity on the board, and then I'll require a little bit of input from colleagues on addressing this packaging question. Alright, so on our screen we're about to see a packaging question. Let me just make it a little bit bigger. I'm not sure if this is clear enough. Okay. Right. On the board we have a question. This is taken from a grade 10 paper which was written in September 2017. As you can see, it's the same packaging that we are teaching in grade 11 and grade 12. Right. What I like about the question is that it is very basic, but what I also like about it is that it is not asking how many cans. If you can look at our question, we are given the scenario that the owner of a tuck shop at the movie house buys cold drinks in case lots of 24 is shown below. And then we are given the can, which is the contents of the box, and the dimensions of the can are very important. As you can see, we are given the radius of 3.5 centimeters. Right? And then we are told that the cans are stacked next to each other. The question is determine the minimum length and width of the box needed to store the 24 cans in a single layer. Right? One of the things that you must emphasize when answering this question is that if we see these words as shown below, it means that if a learner says 8 cans, it means in that box there is 8 cans. Right? If a learner says 24 cans, as is in this question, it means there is 24 cans, exactly as shown on the picture. So the learner does not need to calculate, as we do calculations sometimes, how many cans are along the length.
Conference recording has started.
We can see how many cans are on the length, right? Right, because we are told as shown below, so it means what the learner says is exactly what it is. Now the question is asking for the length and width. It is not asking how many cans. So learners must be able to differentiate. We'll be answering a question later on where a learner is asked how many cans are along the length, how many cans are along the width, or how many cans in total are in a box. So this question is asking the dimensions, the length and the width. Right. The first step here is to tell our learners that the can is sitting with a diameter here, but learners are given a radius. So that's the very beginning point, that you must first make the radius a diameter. Because if you want to know how many cans are sitting on the box, if you want to know the dimensions of the box, we need to know each can is sitting with a diameter. Then we must ask ourselves, how many diameters do we see on this box? Because each can is a diameter. Right, I'm trusting that our learners during the time when we're teaching them measurements, we taught them how to calculate a radius when given a diameter, and we taught them how to calculate a diameter when given a radius. So now the question is, how many 7 centimeters are here along the length? Because we are now answering the question, determining the length. So we see there are 6 cans, and each can is sitting with a diameter of 7 centimeters. So the first question is to ask how many 7 centimeters are across the box. Right, so as we said that, because it says as shown below, it means the learner must count what the learner sees on the box. So we see there are 6, therefore it's 7 centimeters diameter times 6 cans. The question is silent about any separating cardboard in between the cans. So there is nothing separating the cans between each other. There is nothing placed in between the cans. And in this statement here, the cans are stacked next to each other, tells that there is nothing in between the cans. So there is nothing that you have not calculated. Once you multiply 7 centimeters by 6, you've calculated. And there is nothing about the thickness of the box as well. So the first thing is converting the radius to a diameter, 3,5 centimeters times 2. Right, obviously we may revisit with your learners. There's a radius, takes half of the circle. Right, so we need the full can. The full length of the can means the diameter of the can. So that's why we need a diameter of 7 centimeters. Then multiply it by 6, then the learner will have the minimum length. This is a length only. We have not calculated the width. The reason we are saying 6 for the length is because the longer side of the box is the length and the shorter side of the box is the width. So which means when the learner is calculating the width, it will no longer be 7 centimeters times 6. Right? It will now be 7 centimeters multiplied by 4. We also need to emphasize using drawings when dealing with the question of packaging. That if a diameter is 7 centimeters for a circle, even when you are going the other way, calculating for the width, that diameter is still 7 centimeters. It doesn't matter if you are looking at the length or if you are looking at the width. The diameter is 7 centimeters if you are looking at the length. Also, if you are looking at the width, the diameter is still 7 centimeters. Right, it is important to note that and also to use drawings while doing these calculations. Right, if there is any question or any input, I will assert it. As I'm waiting for that, I will just show how to calculate the width. The width will be 7 centimeters again, multiplied by. Now let us count on the width, which is the shorter side of the box. 1, 2, 3, 4 cans. So we've got 4 7 centimeters. Right, so for the width we've got 28 centimeters, and for the length we've got 7 centimeters multiplied by 6, which will give us 42 centimeters. 42 centimeters. So now we've given the dimensions. Right? This question was silent about the thickness of the box. There is a question where a learner will be required to consider the thickness of the box. For example, if there is a box, if in the box it was bottles, spice bottles or peanut butter bottles packed next to each other, there would be a cardboard separating those. So the learner will have to consider that. Let's say, for example, you've got 2 jars in a box. Let's say you've got jars in a box, and there is a separating cardboard in between. Right? If there was a separating cardboard in between here, the learner will have to add that when calculating the length. Here we did not, in the previous question, we did not add anything because we were told the cans are stacked next to each other. But here, if now we are told that the cardboard separating the boxes is 0.5 centimeters thick, the learner will have to look at the picture and count how many separators we have. Right, in this question you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, the question, the wording inner length and outer length are very important when answering the question. But there is a question now we'll use that. So in this question now, then I will have to add these 3 diameters plus then I will also have to add these separate sides 0,5, 0,5 and these 2 0,5s. Right, I hope the explanation is clear for now. Right, are there any questions? If there is a question, please make sure that the button in the front is green before answering the question. Then immediately afterwards, you can switch it off. If there is any sender that cannot hear us or cannot hear us clearly, please also indicate. Okay, one of the topics that we are also dealing with in grade 12, also in grade 10 is assembly. This question is also taken from a grade 10 paper. It's an assembling question, where learners have to look at the pictures and understand which steps will follow. Right, here we are told that these pictures or these diagrams are not in order. These diagrams are not, assembly diagrams are not in order. So therefore, even though we see A, B, C, it doesn't mean that the first step taken to assemble, right? Assembly means to put together something. So to put together this car, it doesn't mean that we started at A and followed with B and followed with C. For example, you can see that's D. That's when the car was complete. So D has to be the last step. So therefore, and F cannot be the last step because the car was not complete. So all of those things we need to explain to our learners that when answering this question, you must look at where the car is least complete. That's where it starts. And then look for clues that tell you that something has already been added. For example, let's look at picture E. Picture E, there is something, if you look at the front of the car, there is something here that was not here at B. There is something that has been put in at picture E that was not put in at picture B. So that tells you that picture E cannot come first. Picture B will come first and then picture E will come later. So giving those clues will help the learner, as well as if we look at picture A and picture E. If we look at picture E, there is something here at the back this is missing if you are comparing picture E with picture A. If you can look at picture A, it's a little bit flared here comparing to picture E. So therefore picture A cannot come first, but picture A will come first and then picture A will follow. Before we answer the question 2.2.1, the learner needs to understand that how did you arrive at the answer. Right, so there any colleague wants to give us the answer for 2.2.1, which is arrange diagrams in order needed to assemble the car. The question is 4 marks. It says arrange the diagrams in order needed to assemble the car. Okay, so I'm not sure if all colleagues can hear us. I'll just wave and check if anyone can hear us. Okay, 2 senders can hear us, the others cannot. Alright, can we have an answer for one of the sensors? Okay, so the first picture will have to be F. As we can see from our diagram, the least complete is F. So F has to be where we begin to build this toy car. It has to be the first step where we begin to build this toy car. So the first one is F. after F, and then obviously following the clues that you gave me, then looking at the pictures, which one followed. For example, then I cannot say after F there is A, because we saw that it can't be A. I mean, A cannot come before F. I mean, A cannot come before E. Right, so the next picture will have to be E, using that same logic that we just explained. So the next one will be E. Right, after picture E, right, it is clear that we then followed with, oh sorry, I just contradicted myself, sorry about that. We said earlier on, if you look at picture B and picture E, there is something on picture E at the front. This is missing in picture B at the front. So picture E cannot come before picture B. Right? So for that reason, after F, the second step was picture B. Right? And then they added this in picture E, then they added this which was missing in picture B. So after picture B, then we had picture E. Right, so again, then I will have to look at, then what happened next? Which picture followed next? It can't be this one, because this one already, it can't be picture C, because picture C already has glasses in it. Right, and picture A does not have glasses. So it has to be picture A first. Alright, picture A. Again, if you look at picture E and picture A, what tells you that A comes before A is looking at this. There is something here on picture E that is missing that has been added there on picture A. So that tells you that picture A came first and then picture A followed. Right, so I hope we are still together with my colleagues. And then now we are left with two pictures. So now we have the following picture will have to be picture C. Because if you look at picture C and picture D, right, it's obvious that picture C came first because picture D was when the car was complete. Right, so there is the order F, B, E, A, C, and D. Right, so if there is any question, again, my colleagues are welcome to ask any questions. Now we are looking at 2.2.2. Give one valid reason why assembly instructions are given in diagram and not only in word form. Right, so what I asked my learners was, do you think it would be easy to assemble something if you didn't see pictures of how you're supposed to do it? If you're just given sentences, to follow those sentences, read those sentences and do something, this is not shown in pictures. And then this was easy to get the answer once I asked them this. Right, is there any colleague who wants to give us a straight answer for 2.2.2? Okay, let's hope my colleagues, they are still settling down. Right, diagrams, as we can see on our screen, they make it easy to complete this assembling task. Because what they are asking you to do is assemble a toy car, and they are showing you in pictures how to do it step by step and in pictures. Right, so the easy answer or the simple answer here is that looking at diagrams make it much simpler or make it much easier than only reading at sentences. Right, again we are looking for simple English. Diagrams make it easier because the person who is assembling can see clearly what is going on. Right. Allow me, colleagues, now to look at a grade 12 paper. It's also an assembling question, a grade 12 paper from February, March 2016. Right. Again, if there is any question, please make sure the mic is turned on. So one of the learners told me that they already know how to assemble things because at home they are the ones responsible for it. So assembling, you'll find most of the learners will find it easy, but for some learners you will need to explain each step that you do and the reasons why. We are now looking at another assembly question. Right, the opening statement is Evelina bought a framed mirror for her room. She wants to mount the mirror on the wall. Right. Mounting the mirror on the wall is also assembling. Right, mounting the mirror on the wall is also assembling. So the question is going to be based on these pictures. So the first step is for the learners to understand the pictures that they are looking at. She wants to mount the mirror on the wall using 2 screws. She received the following mounting instructions, diagrams A to D, notes in order with the mirror. So the minute that the examiner says the pictures are not in order, you can expect a question asking the learners to arrange the pictures in order. Okay. Now let's look at the first question. 3.3.1 refers to diagrams and writes down the correct order in which the mirror should be mounted using A, B, C, and D. So let's look at this picture and come up with an answer. How will you arrange these pictures? Obviously beginning from the first one and ending up with the last one where the mirror was mounted. What is our first picture, or what is our first diagram? But please ensure the mark is set on before answering the question. Okay, there are some things that the learner will not understand. That's we as adults already understand. For example, before we drill a hole in the wall. Before we drill a hole in the wall, there is something that we are going to do. We are going to mark for the holes. We are going to make marks where we are going to drill the hole. So we need to understand or make learners understand this. For example, this axis. Right, this X here, that we see here, we need to explain to the learners what's happening with that X on picture C. As you can see, the X is on picture C on the diagram. Right, let's say the question. Pungula sensor. Pungula no pungash. Pungash sensor. Or you're just testing the mic. Okay, if you're not asking a question at pungash sensor, please switch the mic off. Switch it on only if you're asking a question or giving us an answer. So the first picture here is where the person mounting the mirror is making marks. Right? Again, the learner will not understand that you make marks before. So X is where marks are being made. Picture A, I'm not sure if you can all see picture A. There is a screw there. Right? And there are two nails there, or 2 screws on the wall. Right? And you are showing big picture what they are. So because of the quality of the paper, it may not be visible. Right, so the first picture here, colleagues, what will be the first picture? Right, so isizombe sokuqala la kuzoba u-C. Right, uma ubheka ukuthi why isizombe sokuqala u-C, we are looking at what is happening in picture C. We are looking at what is happening in picture C. So, therefore, if we are looking at picture C, you can see that we are still making marks, which means this is the first step, or that's the first thing that we are doing. Right, sorry about that. So picture C is the first picture, or is the first step, meaning the first step is to make marks on the wall. Right? After making marks, okay, this 700 millimeters also is saying something to the learner. This we need to interpret. Right? If you are looking there, if you are looking at these two marks, there are two marks, and then there is 700 millimeters in between. Right, there is a pencil here. This is a pencil, right, showing two marks being made on the wall, and then there is 700 millimeters written, which means this is saying make two marks on the wall which are 700 millimeters apart from each other. That's what the instruction is saying. We need to interpret that to the learner in case there is a question which is asking them to write diagram instruction C in words. So the first picture is picture C. Right, and then the second picture. Right, let's look at picture B. What's happening at picture B? What do you think is happening at picture B? Any of our colleagues from any of the centers? What do you think is happening at picture B? What do you think is happening at picture B? Okay, let's see.
They are measuring the dimensions of the mirror.
Yes, thank you.
Right.
Right. Rather, I think the mistake we made here is saying we are beginning with picture C. Right. I think we should have begun with picture B. If we are looking at picture B, we made the first X, and the instruction is saying 120 meters down from the ceiling and 120 meters away from the wall. Right, so that's the first X. Because in picture C, there are two X's, which means this is now saying make the second mark and make it 700 millimeters away from the first mark. So this is giving us dimensions of where we are putting the mirror, picture B. Right, my mistake on the first instruction. The first instruction has to be B. Right, so why are we saying the first instruction is B? Because on C, there are two marks. There are two marks, as you can see. Whereas on picture B, there is one mark, X. So that mark, the first instruction is mark for the first hole. That mark, make it 120 meters down from the ceiling, which is this line, and 120 millimeters away from the nearest wall. So it mustn't be close to the wall. Okay, or the mirror must not lean on the wall. Then picture C, make the second mark. Right, after making the two marks, we are done marking. Now we must put the screws before we hang the mirror. In which picture are we putting the screws? I'm not sure if it's clear enough, but they try to make to show the screws going in the mirror, connecting the mirror with the wall. Let's see.
Picture A.
Picture A. Then you say the next picture will be picture A. So now we are done marking. In picture B, we made the first X. In picture C, we made the second X, which is 700 millimeters away from the first mark. X is a mark. And then picture A is now when we are done with marking. Now we are drilling. Now we are drilling in the screws. Right? Again, we need to explain to learners that we drill screws and then we hang the mirror. Right? Now we are hanging the mirror. Obviously, this should be picture D. Right? Usually, the last picture is when we are done, or the end product. This is usually the last picture. So the last picture is D. Right? And then easily, the learner has got 2. Right? And then easily, the learner has got 2 marks. Easily, the learner has got 2 marks. Again, use pictures. Use symbols A, B, C, D, E as instructed. Okay. Now we're looking at 3.3.2. Now we're looking at 3.3.2. If written instructions had accompanied the diagrams, match the following instruction with the correct diagram. As we said, that learners should be able to look at a picture and translate that picture into words. Because it's a diagram instruction, they should be able to translate it in words. That if it was a sentence, what would the sentence be? Right? They made it easy here. They don't want the learner to write the sentence. They want the learner to match the sentence with the correct picture. The instruction is use a pencil and a level to make the second mark X exactly 700 millimeters from the first mark. Right? So if you understood what we were doing in 3.3.1, this question will be much easier. Right? So if you remember correctly, we said in picture B, because there is one X being made on the wall and they're making it bigger here to show us, we made one X here, and then in picture C, there are now 2 X's. Right? So which instruction is matching? Use a pencil and a level to make the second mark X exactly 700 millimeters from the first mark. Okay, maybe colleagues are still settling.
Formation C.
Yes, C.
C.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. C is the correct answer. Right? Correct answer is C. Right? So why are we saying the correct answer is C? Because that's the picture where we see a second X being made, and then we see that 700 millimeters, telling us that the 2 X's or the 2 marks must be 700 millimeters apart, and we do see a level, even though it's not exactly clear maybe, but we do see a level. So there is a level in picture C, and there is 700 millimeters in picture C. So all the clues are there, even if the learner does not understand very well what is being said, but all the clues are there in the picture. This is picture C. Right, thank you, colleagues. For now, we've done enough assembling. Let's just go back to the packaging question. Now looking at a grade 12 paper, which is February-March 2016, paper 2. We are going to do the whole of question 1 for that paper. Right, question 1. This is paper 2 where learners think it is difficult because it's paper 2. But this is our job as teachers to link our lessons with grade 10 work. I find that many questions, if not most, I'm not going to say most, but I've seen most questions in question 1 and 2 of paper 2. They test the very basics that are taught in grade 10 and that are not taught in grade 12 because simply they are not topics. For example, we don't have a topic of rounding. We don't have a topic of percentages in grade 12. It comes in between or among other topics. So let's just look at this packaging question. Right, there is a packaging as we go on, but we'll see there are many other skills or basics for our learners to pick up as well. Let's look at 1.1. In recent years, households in South Africa have experienced a large increase in electricity costs. Mr. Chan would like to replace his electric stove with a gas stove. He received quotations from the alternative heat company, option 1, and TG gas stove specialist, option 2. As shown in Annexure A, some information has been omitted. 1.1.1, calculate the total quotation amount for option 1. Right, obviously we need to look at our annexures. The first annexure that we are using now is annexure A. We are using annexure A. I can borrow you my paper, say, if you didn't bring it. So we are looking at annexure A of our question 1. Right, let me just open it for the benefits of someone who forgot it when coming to the presentation. Let's see if we can rotate. Right, so we're looking at this question and we're looking at Annex A. Okay, and then we are going to calculate the total cost for option 1. If you are looking at this question, you can see that there is missing information. For example, we don't know the cost for here and the cost for here, gas piping. And then the 14% VAT is also not given. So there are missing gaps that the learner first has to calculate before coming to the total amount, which is the last one. Right, so the rate is tilted, but I hope you can see it. I cannot see where to rotate it. Let me see. Right, so the first step is for the learner to calculate the cost for the refill 9 kg gas bottle. That's the first step, because you are not given, this figure here is not given. Second step is for the learner to calculate the cost for gas piping. We are given that the distance for gas piping is 2 meters. Right, again, the learner may not understand this, but the gas piping means that the gas is installed outside and then there are pipes coming into the room. So when the installer was measuring, he found that it's 2 meters coming inside the house. And then the cost is 15.35 per meter. So we still have to calculate the cost for gas piping. And then there is a subtotal, then there is a 14% VAT, then there is a total amount. Right, we are told that these prices are excluding VAT. So this is also important, that these prices are excluding VAT. So when calculating, you must remember to add VAT on this total amount. As we can see here, that there is still VAT to be added. Right, if we have found the answer for question 1.1.1, total cost, if using, the question was calculate the total cost if using option 1. This is option 1. So we're required to calculate the total cost. Right? I'm sure one of the centers has found the answer, since it's an easy one. Total cost for option 1. Okay. Right, I trust that we all beginning with calculating the refill 9 kg and calculating the cost for gas piping 2 meters at 15.85 each meter, and then calculating the total and then adding that total with the VAT, or increasing it by 14% obviously to make it VAT inclusive. Right, so this is 5 marks. Just doing this is 5 marks, and this is a paper 2. So by doing this activity with learners, we are boosting their confidence, showing them that it's the same as this, whether it's paper 2 or paper 1. Right, I can see Pungashi Sensor already has an answer. I can see Pungashi Sensor already has an answer. Right, please make sure the mic is turned on. Okay, refill 9 kg, discuss there. Refill 9 kg, we are shown that the refill 9 kg gas bottle is 20 rand per kg. It's 20 rand per kg. So if you bought 9 kgs, it's obviously going to be 20 rand multiplied by 9. So the price for the refill 9 kg is going to be 180 rand. Did you all get 180 rand? Okay. Right. Remember, if your mic is off, I cannot hear you. Right. Second step is calculating the cost for gas piping. We are not given the cost for gas piping, but we are told that each meter is 15.85. Right. If we look at our next gas piping, distance that we are going to put our pipes will be 2 meters, and then the cost per meter for gas piping is 15 rand 35 cents. So the next step is calculating the cost for each meter of gas piping. 15 rand 35 times 2 meters. So the cost for gas piping will be how much? 30 rand 70 cents. Right, thank you. Now we've filled in the gaps, or we've calculated the cost, that's why not shown on the annexure. Now what is left to do is to add all the amounts, because now we have all the amounts. First amount is 2,893 rand 86 cents. So let's just add this amount plus 394 rand 74 plus this amount 180 rand, we've calculated it, plus 2,719 rand 80 cents plus 30 rand 70 cents, the cost for gas piping, and then we'll get the total. So when you add all of those amounts, what total do you get? After adding 2,893 rand 86 cents right, commercial cents?
Yeah, sure. 6,201.
6,280 60 cents.
Yes, 60 cents. Yes.
Thank you, that's the correct answer. So after adding all of these amounts, plus 180, let's just calculate it, plus 2,719, 30, plus 30 rand 70. The total came to 6,218 rand 60 cents. Okay, right. Have we answered the question in full? Remember, the question is 5 marks. We have not answered the question in full. We still need to include VAT in this amount, because we are told that those prices are exclusive of VAT. And the annexure, right, which is the quotation, shows us that we do need to add VAT to get the total amount. Before arriving at total amount, there is that 14% VAT that we see there, which means we do need to add the VAT amount to get the total amount. So the last step will be to increase this by 14%. Okay, I know that it's now 15%, but because you are using the paper which was set before 1 April 2018, the receipt is also dated before 1 April 2018. We can also teach that to our grade 12s. That if the receipt is dated 1 April 2018, they may still be asked to calculate VAT at 14%, right? Because this is based on real information. So increasing this by 14%, you can simply multiply it by 1.14 or by 114 over 100. And then the answer is
7,789 rand 30 cents.
Thank you, my colleagues. Right, thank you, commercial censor. Right, so we're going to close all the other sensors and we will remain with one center, commercial center. Yes. Right, thank you, colleagues. Now let's look at the next question. Just by doing this, the learner is 5 marks. This alone is 5 marks. And this is paper 2, as I said, colleagues. So again, let us take off the mask of paper 2. Learners should not be scared of paper 2. It's just basics. Now let's go back to the question that we were doing earlier. Okay. Right, let's go back to question 1. 1.1.2. 1.1.2, Mr. Chen estimates that the difference in total cost between the two options is less than 1,000 rand. Verify. You'll find this question many times. And after this word verify, you will see 8 marks, 7 marks, 10 marks, simply because there are many steps, not because the question is difficult. Verify shows all calculations whether Mr. Chen's estimation is valid, which means at the end of the calculations, the learner has to conclude the statement is valid or the statement is not valid. the difference in total cost between the two options. If you need to verify that, it means you need to calculate the cost for the two options, for option 1 and for option 2, and then conclude. That is why it is 5 marks. Right, the reason it's 5 marks is because this one is so easy. In some questions, it should be 7 marks or even 8 marks. So for option 1, we've already calculated the total cost. Maybe that's one of the reasons why we have 5 marks. We've already calculated the total cost for option 1. We need now to calculate the total cost for option 2. And then see if the difference between those two costs is less than 1,000 rand. If it is not, our conclusion will be the statement is not valid. But if it is, then our conclusion will be the statement is valid. So I'm now going to open the annexure for calculating option 2. So we can all be involved in the calculation. So now we're looking at option 2. So we are now looking at option 2. Right, let's look at option 2, TG gas stove. This is another gas supplier. Now we need to know if this gas supplier, the cost, what are the total costs for this gas supplier. Again, we also have gaps, like the first one. We also have gaps that first need to be calculated. Right, commercial sensor. Oh, yeah, I thought they already have an answer. What is the total cost for option 2? Okay, again, we need to calculate the gaps that we don't have. Kanya sensor? Kanya sensor, we are listening?
Yes. The total cost is 5,482 rand.
5,000?
582 rand.
Right, I think there's something that we did not add. It is missing. Or it is short of maybe one figure, I'm not sure. But remember, we've calculated for 4 metal clips first.
What is the gas certificate that you did include?
You didn't add the certificate, right?
Yes.
Metal clips each is 350.
So it's 5,882 rand.
Yes, 5,880, so thank you. So this is the cost for option 2. Total is 5,882. Right, but first we calculated for the 4 metal clips at 350, which gave us 14 rands. And then we calculated for the 2 meter copper pipe, because we are not given these values. And we got 2 meters times 2350, because we are told that it's 2350 per meter. If we're looking at the copper pipe, we are told that it is 2350 per meter here. Therefore, we multiply 2350 by 2 meters. So for the 2 meter copper pipe, we have 47 rands. Right, the next thing we did was add the installation, 350 rand. What we are told at TG Gas is that the installation, if we read the notes right at the end there we are told that installation of gas stove takes 3 hours. And we are told that the cost of the installation, here we are told that it is 350 rands per hour. Installation by certified gas technician is 350 rands per hour. So since we are told this is 350 rands per hour and it takes 3 hours, so our calculation will be 350 rands times 3 hours. So the installation cost will be 1,050 rand. So the next step, as we can all imagine, will be now to add all the values, since we now have the missing values that we were not given. Now add all the values, including the ones that were given, plus these values that we have now calculated. Then the total will be 5,882 for option 2. 5,882 for option 2. And remember, we've already calculated for option 1. If you are writing down, you still have that for option 1. The cost was 7,089 rand 20 cents for option 1. But for option 2, the cost is 5,882 rand. Now we are verifying a statement that the difference between the two is less than 1,000. The only way to prove that is to subtract the two figures to find the difference between the two. Once we subtract, we'll find our own difference and then we'll know whether this is true or not true. So if we subtract this amount, 7,089 rand 20, minus this figure of 5,882, our answer is?
1,207.
Thank you.
56.20
Please recalculate. 1,207. 1,227. So the last thing, or for the last mark, the learner now is to conclude. Because we were told that Mr. Chen said that the difference will be less than 1,000 rand. So based on this calculation, we have now verified that it is not true. So the learner will now have to conclude that the statement is not valid, or the estimation is not valid, because they said the estimate said the estimation is not valid. Right, so I prefer learners to write not valid in caps, capital letters, because that's what the examiner is looking for when he is marking, whether it's valid or not valid. So make sure that the not valid is written in big letters or capital letters, making sure that the examiner finds what he is looking for, or the marker finds what he is looking for easily. Okay. Let's go on to the next one. We are now on 1.1.3. Give one reason why Mr. Chen may choose the more expensive option. We have seen now that option 1 and option 2. Option 1 is expensive. It's 7,000 rand something, but option 2 is 5,000 rand something. Option 1 was 7,089 rand 20. Option 2 was 5,882. So we can see option 1 is expensive, option 2 is cheaper compared to option 1. The question is, why would he choose option 1? Or why would he choose an expensive option if there was a cheaper option? Right? If dealing with these questions in class, make sure that learners answer specifically according to what has been asked. Right? So if the question is asking about bread, the learner must answer about bread, that maybe the other bread has better quality than the other one. If the question is asking about banks or bank charges, the learner must be specific, that maybe the other bank has a better service. Right? It must not be a general answer, even though it's an opinion answer, but it must be specific. So even this one must be specific to gas suppliers or gas cylinders. So do we have an answer from any of our censors for this question? Right, since it's an opinion, yes, Pumasha Center. Pumasha Center. Josini Center. The brand.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. This is the correct answer, or this is one of the correct answers. Right? It may be, the reason may be because the customer likes the brand of the supplier who is expensive. You may find that option one is expensive, but the brand that they are supplying is the one I like. An example is if you are going to a shop, you want to buy a set of trousers. There is one for 400, there is one for 700. But you like the brand for 700, you don't like the brand for 400. Even though you want to save money, you may end up buying the one for 700 because of the brand. You like the brand. It may also be because of the quality, right? It may also be because of the quality of service. Because remember, these people will sell the gas and install the gas for you. So there will be a service that they will provide to you. So the quality of service provided by each supplier may also be the reason. Maybe the other supplier, they don't have a quality service. Or maybe they are rude on the phone, or I don't know, but there may be many reasons. But the other has to be specific. Here I wrote the brand of the stove, right? One of the reasons was the quality of service offered by the gas supplier, right? There can be many. If you can check the memorandum, you will see there are many answers because they are allowing for many answers, but again, specific answers to the question of gas suppliers. Right, so then I cannot just say because of service, right? Then I must be specific. Because the one who is expensive is offering a better service than the one who is cheap, right? The learner cannot also say because of brand. The learner must be specific because the customer likes the brand of the expensive supplier. So we have to teach our learners to be specific. Leave no excuse for the marker to mark him or her wrong. Now let's go back to packaging. This question 1.2 is taking us back to packaging. And it's exactly grade 10 style, even though it's in grade 12 paper 2. It's exactly grade 10 style if you remember the first question we did. 1.2, a certified gas dealer sells 9 kg gas bottles. These cylindrical bottles are stored outside the shop in a steel cage. Again, the keywords as shown below. If you look at the keywords here, as shown below. So those are the keywords that tell us that gas bottles are as shown below. We can't say we don't know how many gas bottles are on the length or how many gas bottles are on the width, because the words say as shown below. So the learner literally has to count how many are on the length or how many are on the width if the question is asking this. Here we are showing the front and back view. In this picture here, front and back view. We are also showing the side view of the cage. By looking at these pictures, the learner cannot say they do not know how many layers or how many gas bottles can be stacked on top of each other. The learner cannot also say we were not told how many can be stacked on top of each other. They were shown and they were told gas bottles are packed into the cage as shown below. So there's no excuse to say I didn't know how many go up on top of each other or how many layers. Okay, and we are given the dimensions of the gas bottle, the diameter. We have seen on the first question how important is the diameter in calculating or in doing a packaging question. The height, right? The height will be important if you are going up or calculating layers, obviously, because we can see that bottles are placed in an upright position. Let me just draw a small diagram here to make sure that we are all on the same page. On the board, and interpreting what they already see on the question paper while doing revision will make it much easier for the learners. Everything we read, we take it to the drawing. We label the drawing in full. right? Leaving very little room for calculation. When we do have to do calculations, this will be much easier. Remember we said when calculating the length of a container or a box where the contents are packed, we need to know the diameter here in this case because we are dealing with a cylinder. We are told here that the diameter is 314 millimeters. Right? So we need to know that the diameter is 314 millimeters. We are talking about the same cylinders here, same size gas cylinders. So if this is 314 millimeters, this is also 314. In fact, all 5 of them are 314 millimeters. Each diameter, 314 millimeters. Right? Doing this is not giving them the answer, but leading them to the answer. Again, remind them that the diameter is 314 going this way is the same cylinder. So even when I'm calculating the weight, which is the shorter side, I will need 314 millimeters. 314 millimeters again. Right, let's go and read the statement again. There is a gap of 10 millimeters on either side. There is a gap of 10 millimeters on either side. We're told that there is a gap of 10 millimeters on either side of each gas bottle when placed on the shelf on the steel cage. Right? So you go back to your drawing again on the board. That's a rough sketch which you made on the board. Right? Either side, right, means both sides. Either side, on this side, there is a gap of 10 millimeters, and on this side also, there is a gap of 10 millimeters. You can write this gaps 10 millimeters here, 10 millimeters here, 10 millimeters here. So we are now leaving the learner with no excuse to say the question is difficult. The learner cannot say the question is difficult once you've done this for you. Same thing applies here. The learner will have to count how many gaps because we are told on either side of each, meaning all of them. Right. So if unpack the question, we said this is the top view, which tells us that along the length we've got 5 and along the width we've got 8. Then this is the side view, which tells us how many gas bottles can be stacked on top of each other, or how many layers of gas bottles do we have. As then we're given pictures of steel cage, then we're given the dimensions, diameter and height. Let's look at the questions. 1.2.1, calculate the maximum number of gas bottles that can fit into one steel cage. Right, this is paper 2, but you see the question, how easy the question is. How many gas bottles can fit into one steel cage? The reason is too much because it's very easy. Josine Sensor, I see the mic is on.
And 20.
Sorry?
20.
20. Right? Let's see where the 20 came from. Thank you. Right? Let's say correct answer. Let's check where the 20 came from. If we look at the top view, we see 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Right? But where do we think the colleague came with 20, which is the correct answer by the way? Where do we think the 20 comes from? Right? Kanyanjalo?
Yes, so I know this is the volume, but then even 5 bottles, then we weight 2, then we height 2, then I said it's 5 times 2 times 2, which makes 20.
Thank you. So if we're looking at this, we've got the volume. Because we've got 3 dimensions. If you can see 3 dimensions, we calculate the volume. But if you can see 2, we calculate an area. Here we say we can see 3 because we do see 3 here. We do see the height. We can see how many gas bottles are stacked on top of each other. So we see 3 dimensions. Therefore, it's volume equal to length times width times height, which is a volume formula for a rectangular prism. And then on the length, we don't use the length of the cage. But suppose the length, in terms of gas bottles, how many gas bottles can fit on the length? As we said, learners must count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So just as my colleague said, under length we've got 5 bottles. Under width, this is the width. We've got 2, 1, 2. We don't have to calculate as we normally do when we are giving dimensions. Here we have to count because we are shown and we are told that they are packed as shown. That's why we are counting as we are shown. And the heights, we took the heights from here. From this picture we can see 2 bottles stacked on top of each other. So we know there are 2 layers on top of each other. Therefore the height is 2 gas bottles on top of each other. Then 5 times 2 times 2 is 20 gas cylinders. Alright, this is why this is 2 marks, because it's just an application of a basic that we learned in grade 10.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I'm looking at the diagram of the shelf.
Yes.
It shows 4 compartments.
Here, or this.
Yes. Now, I'm just wondering if that would not be a distractor for the kid.
To think
Because
this.
yes, the kid will think that it's 10 per compartment, and then it end up coming with 40.
Oh yeah. I think the key on these things, or that we need to explain to all learners, is that after looking at the picture, you must look at the diagram, whatever diagram is shown. You must look at the diagram. The diagram simplifies the picture. I think that's the key, looking at the diagram.
But
Because
in
you-
that situation, would they accommodate a student who calculated for? Because,
Yeah.
you know, if it shows 4 compartments, then it gives the idea to a learner that these diagrams, 1, 2, 3 diagrams, talk about 1 compartment, but now we have 4 compartments, which then, you know.
Yeah, but we still don't know the size of each compartment, so this will be a wild guess. Also, our statement doesn't say anything about the compartment. It says these cylindrical bottles are stored outside the shop in a steel cage as shown below.
Yes.
So there's nothing about the compartments. So the learner will be just taking a wild guess.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's look at 1.2. So I think the markers maybe will accommodate if there is nothing helping the learner to calculate. If the learner is taking a wild guess because there was nothing, here they are giving everything to answer the question, so they don't have to guess. Right. Then 1.2.2 is 8 marks. Right. The reason again for 8 marks, always emphasize during revision with our learners that 8 marks does not mean it's difficult. It means they are multi-step, or there are many steps, or they are going to calculate 2 things and conclude at the end. A company sells rectangular metal sheets with dimensions 3.4 meter by 2.1 meter. Determine showing all calculations the maximum number of shelves for the steel cage that could be cut from 1 meter sheet. Right, so I find drawings assist a lot in answering all measurements questions and packaging questions. So again, I would advise to use a drawing. Even learners, I would advise them to use a drawing when answering a question like this. Alright, it helps the learner understand the question better. Okay, we are going to draw the material where we are cutting from. The statement says we have a material, a big material or a big metal sheet with a length of 3.4 meters. .4 by 2.1. 2.1 being the short size is obviously the width. Length and width. Right? Again, the learner is told what a shelf is. There is a shelf. It is labeled. So the learner knows that we are talking about a rectangle, something rectangular in shape. That must be cut out of one big sheet of 3.4 by 2.1. Before we know how many we cut, we need to know what was the size. If I tell you I want to cut, let's say I've got one big pot that I need to cut small pots from. If that pot is 10 meters by 4 meters, and I want to cut small pots of, let's say, 5 by 2. If I want to cut small pots of 5 by 2, that means it will take 5 meters from this side, from the length. It will take 5 meters, which means I can only cut 2 across the length. How will a learner know this? I can only cut 2. Umfundo of 10 meters, ungeno 5 abanga. 10 divided by 5. Then the learner will know I can only cut 2 from the length. How does that help? Remember packaging, length times width. Now because we've got 2 dimensions. It's length times width times height if we've got 3. And then I said the width of what I need to cut is 2 meters. So again, also going up, I can only cut 2 because I have a length of 4 meters. So how many 2s I can cut? Only 2. Then when I'm asking in total from this big board, how many can I cut? On the length, I can only cut 2. 5 meter, 5 meter, 2 parallel 10 meters. So on the length, I can only cut 2. On the width, how many can I cut? From 4 meters, I can cut, if the dimension of what I'm cutting is 2 meters, that means from 4 meters, I can only cut 2, 1, 2. So again, on the length and width, I put the number of pots I can cut from the material, not the dimensions, which is 10 meters by 4 meters. So the same thing applies here. We need to know the dimensions of the shelves that we are cutting. And we are not given those dimensions. This is why it is 8 marks. We need to know the dimensions. Length and width. There is a diagram I drew earlier. I've taken it off. We need to know the dimensions of the shelf. Some learners will pick it up easily, but the shelf is the same size as what we see here written top view, because the shelf in the middle is the same size as the top of the cage. If you remember rectangle properties, opposite sides of a rectangle are equal, and also opposite faces of a rectangular prism are equal. So the learner will, if the learner does not pick that up, you can just explain that this shelf is the same as the top, which is shown here. So if we can calculate these dimensions using this information, we can calculate the dimensions. So now we need to know the dimensions of the shelf that we are cutting. This is the shelf that we are cutting, and this is the metal sheet that we are cutting from. This is the metal sheet that we are cutting from. Okay, let me redraw the drawing I drew first. Let me take out the example. What we see on top view, this is what we see on top view right now. See 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, so we know it's 10 because it's 2 layers on top of each other. So this 10 is 10. So we've answered this already. But now we are determining the dimensions, which is the first question we did when we started this presentation. We said we can calculate the length, and we did in that grade 10 paper. We know the diameter of the gas bottle is 314 millimeters. Right? So I'm expecting my colleagues to help me find the dimension, which is length. We've got 314 here, 314 here, 314 here. So we've got 5 diameters of 314. If we are calculating the length according to the gas cylinders we have, it means we've got all 314 above 5. Plus, in between the gas bottles, on either side, we are told there is 10 millimeters. There is 10 millimeters on either side. So all of them, they've got a 10 millimeter gap. So has any of our colleagues find or calculated the length? Let's see.
It's 1,650 millimeters.
Then you said, right? This is still millimeters for now. So 1,630 millimeters. Right? I hope all of our colleagues, they found the same length of 1,630 millimeters. Right? Can you get any inputs for one of our centers? Pungashe Center? Kanya Jalo? Okay, still calculating. Right? Let us now calculate the weight of the cage. Let us now calculate the weight of the cage. Now, if looking at the weight, we are now looking at diameter gain of 314 plus another diameter of 314 and 10 millimeter gaps on either side. Let's revisit the question. We are told that there is a gap of 10 millimeters on either side of each gas bottle. So, calculating the width, there is 314, and then there is these gaps. This gap is 10 millimeters, and this gap is 10 millimeters, and this gap is 10 millimeters. So you've got 3 10 millimeters, and you've got 2 314 millimeters. So what is our weight for this cage, for this shelf? Kanya John? Pungashe Center? Thank you. 658. So the weight is 658 millimeters. Okay, so now the board that you are cutting from, or the metal sheet that you are cutting from, our dimensions are called armor meters. We are given meters as dimensions. So it will be much easier, or it will be useful to convert the dimensions of the shelf as well to meters. This will be useful to convert dimensions of the shelf as well to meters. Alright, so let us convert those dimensions, the length and width, to meters. Pungashe Center?
Maybe it's 3,400 millimeters. No.
1.63 meters, thank you. Right, we divide by 1,000, right? Whatever method you chose your learners in term 1, then they've already mastered of converting. Stick to it now in term 3 so that you don't confuse them. Right, divide by 1,000 because we are converting millimeters to meters. Then our length is 1.63 meters. So let's go back to our board. Now our shelf is 1.63 meters in length. Right? Let's convert the width as well to meters. Let's convert the width as well to meters. 0.658, thank you. Right, 0.658 meters. So let's put this 0.658 meters. So if learners have done the basic packaging, where you take the length of the container, divide by the length of the content, and take the width of the container, right? Divide by the width of the content. Learners can now see the answer. You don't have to say anything, you just wait for them. Let me wait for my colleagues to give us the answer. The question was, how many shelves can be cut from the metal sheet? How many shelves can be cut from the metal sheet? I think from now on, very few steps left to arrive at the answer. I'll revisit the question. It's a man showing all calculations, the maximum number of shelves for the steel cage that could be cut from one metal sheet. Right, from one metal sheet. Okay, now we've drawn the picture of one metal sheet and we've put the dimensions of one metal sheet, 3.4 by 2.1. And we also have the dimensions of what we want to cut from it. We have a length of 1.63, so we need to know 1.63, abazukaseka 2.4. Also, we have a width of 2.1 meter, and we want to know 0.658 that can be cut from 2.1 meters. Right? Umashe sensor is mark is on. Umashe? 6, right? Take us through the workings, please.
Okay. Along the length,
Right.
the length we have divided 3.4 meter by 1.3 meter, then we have 2.08.
3.4 meters divided by the length of the content, or over to cut 1.63.
Yes.
Right, and then 2.08.
Then we got 2.08.
Yes. 2.08, and then after that,
Then we round up to 2.
we round down to 2
We round
because,
down to 2.
thank you, we round down to 2, right, because we are talking about how many shelves counted, that's and then width,
The width we have taken 2.1 meter.
right, and the width of the container or of the metal sheet is 2.1 meters,
Then we divide by 0.658 meter.
the width of the shelf 0.658, 0.658, let's number keep up 2.1,
Then we got 3.19.
3.19,
Then we round down to 3.
we round down to 3 because it's counted as how many shelves, right, so it's on screen,
Then we got
6, thank you, right, 6 is the correct answer, thank you, 6 shelves. 6 shelves. This is 8 marks. As easy as that, the learner is got 8 marks. Right, again, I emphasize using drawings like this one. Right, where we show or illustrate the answer in all classwork or wherever we are marking homework, to show drawings or where we got the answer, and encourage our learners to use just a rough sketch to understand what is said, because some of them English is not easy to understand. So once they draw the picture, this will be much easier to understand the problem this Mendel is giving. Okay, let's move on. Right, now let's look at 1.3. I think we've done enough assembling and packaging for today. Alright, let's do these last 2 questions, which are dealing with income tax. One is 4 marks, one is 8 marks. A certified gas dealer who is 48 years old, right? This is talking about the age of the taxpayer, right? Which means once you get to that part where you need the age, you will have to explain to the learners why the age was given. A certified gas dealer who is 48 years old and a taxable income of 0.72 million. Again, there's a basic of grade 10. Numbers. Then I will have to write this as an ordinary number before answering. During the 2014-2015 tax year, and contributed to a registered medical aid scheme for herself and 4 dependents. Again, this is important in the tax calculation. So when you get to the step, you have to highlight this. This was used in calculating, or this information was useful in calculating the medical tax credits. She projected that her taxable income will remain the same during the 2015-2016 tax year. Study the taxable and medical aid credits in Annexure B to answer the questions that follow. 1.3.1, explain the impacts of the tax rebates and the medical aid credits on the tax payable. Paper 2, 6, understanding from our learners. So learners will have to understand what's the tax rebates and what's the medical tax rates before they calculate it in number 1.3.2. So let's find answers of these two. Again, the question is not asking what is the tax rebate. The question is asking, explain the impacts. So if a learner answers tax rebate is a tax discount, that answer will not be acceptable because this was not the question. The question was explain the impact of a tax rebate and explain the impact of a medical tax credit on the tax payment. Okay, I'm waiting for my colleagues. English is not my strong point, so I'll wait for my colleagues to answer this and help me with English. What is answer? Right, again, because two things are asked, the learner will have to be specific. When answering for tax rebates, the learner will be answering like tax rebates, the impact of tax rebates is, the impact of medical tax credits is. That's how the learner must answer the question. So can you please answer in that format as well? Okay, so my colleague is saying the tax rebate reduces tax payable. So now we've answered the question. We know that tax rebate is a tax relief for taxpayers or a tax discount for taxpayers, but the question is asking what impact does it have on the tax payable? It reduces the amount of tax payable. And the medical tax credits, they almost have the same impact. The difference with the medical tax credits is that not all taxpayers will benefit from it. So we need to make that distinction when answering for medical tax credits. Medical tax credits, impact? Commercial center?
Yes, sir. If you look like the tax rebate, as you wrote there, tax rebate reduces tax payable. It isn't that tax rebate reduces tax payable for a certain age. For example, you're 60 years old, 65 years old. So it qualifies certain people of certain age. So isn't that supposed to be specified in terms of the age when it comes to tax rebate?
I think we all know that all taxpayers will get the tax rebate because there is one which is a primary rebate, and if you read the description for this one, it's everyone. And then there is the second one and the third one. So even if you did not get the second one, but we are 100% guaranteed that all taxpayers will get the tax rebate. But if you want to be specific, then you can tell our learners that tax rebate reduces tax payable, and then specify that depending on the age. The reduction will depend on the age. Obviously, the older the taxpayer, there will be more reduction. Or the younger the taxpayer, the reduction will only be the primary rebate. We can specify. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Okay, I hope the question has been answered. Then let's answer medical tax credits. Medical tax credits. Commercial center.
Medical aid credits reduces the amount of tax to be paid.
Right, but this one is not for everyone. I think this is why we need to be specific more than the first one. Because medical tax credits will reduce the amount of tax payable, but not for all taxpayers. For example, a taxpayer who does not contribute towards medical aid will not get this benefit. This benefit is only for the taxpayer who's contributing towards medical aid. Then the government says, when you are paying tax, I'll give you a discount. Because you contribute towards medical aid, which means you go to a private hospital, you pay for your own medicine, you pay for your own bills to the doctor, you don't use the state hospital, you don't use the state clinic, right? So the government will then assume that since you are paying medical aid, you are paying for your own medications, therefore will give you a relief when paying tax. Because your taxes will be building hospitals for those who do not have medical aid. Then they will give you this relief or this rebate. So here, I think most importantly, we need to specify this. This one is for taxpayers contributing towards medical aid. Okay, because the reason for it is to provide a relief for someone who's already paying for their medications. So that's when they pay tax, they get a discount based on that. So even though it's the same thing, it's also a discount because it's subtracted. But this discount is only for taxpayers contributing towards medical aid. Then depending on number of dependents as well. The more dependents, the more the discount. Less dependents, the less the discount. Okay, so I think we've answered 1.3.1. I hope we are all satisfied, or we can still add something. Alright, so 1.3.2. This one is for 8 marks. The dealer calculated that say annual tax due to SARS will increase by only 150 rands from 2014 to 2015 tax year to the 2015-2016 tax year. Verify showing all calculations whether her calculation is valid. The reason it's 8 marks is because you are going to calculate for 2015 tax year and for 2016 tax year and then conclude whether the statement is correct. Because there are two calculations of tax, that's why it's 8 marks. But it's not 8 marks because it's a difficult question. So we now need to go to Annexure B to look at the tax tables for the 2015 tax year and the 2016 tax year. Right, first calculate income tax for the 2015 tax year, and then calculate, taking into consideration the age of the taxpayer for the rebate, and taking into consideration that the taxpayer is registered, contributed to a registered medical aid scheme, so this taxpayer will get medical tax credits. How many dependents? Herself and 4 dependents. So it's main member, first dependents, and 3 dependents according to our tables. She projected that her taxable income will remain the same. So we are calculating with the same taxable income for both years, 2015 and 2016 tax year. So let's go to the annexure with this information. Okay. So we've got 2 tax tables here. Well, we need to say the word. I think what we need to see is shown. First table is 2016 tax year. The next one is 2015. 2016, because 2016 February, it means it's for the tax year of 2015-2016. Because it's began in 2015, right, and it ended in 2016. That's why it's 2015 stroke 2016. The one for 2015 began in 2014 and ended in 2015. That's why it's written 2014 stroke 2015 in the question, not in the annexure. So we are considering the information that is given, right? The taxpayer is 48 years old. Taxpayer is 48 years old. We consider this for the rebates. The taxpayer has 4 dependents. What else we are given is that the taxpayer had a taxable income of 0.742 million, which we need to write as an ordinary figure when answering this question. So as an ordinary figure, 0.742 million. How much is this as an ordinary figure? As a normal amount of money. Because in our calculators we can't find it. How much is it, sir?
742,000.
772. Thank you, sir. The easiest way, Raisi Federa cannot pick it up yet, it's 742 million, 742,000. You can just multiply it. If it's written million, multiply it by million. If it's written billion, multiply it by billion. This will automatically convert it to an ordinary figure, 742,000. So this is the taxable income. And remember, we are told it's the same taxable income for both years. That's what we are told in the opening statement. So let's calculate now income tax using all this information that we are given. Obviously, we look at the tax bracket first, right? Tax bracket. It starts with 2015. Which tax brackets are we looking at?
The last one.
Last one.
Yes.
Alright, so what do we do once we identify the brackets?
You write the formula.
Thank you. The formula that we see in the last bracket, since we identify 742,000 falling here, being the above. The above. 673,001 in the above, so it means it's falling in this bracket. So we take this formula. Okay, write down this formula as it is. 195,212 plus 40 over 100, 40% of is a multiplier of times taxable income is 742,000. Above 672,100 minus 673,100. And then at the end, minus rebates, minus medical tax credit. Here's the first step. 195,212 plus 40% of taxable income above 673,100 means multiplied by taxable income 742,000 minus 673,100. So that's the first step in calculating for 2015. We have 195,000 plus 40% times taxable income 742,000 above, let's subtract 673,100 and close brackets minus the rebates minus the medical tax credit. Right, how much is our rebate? Yes, commercial sensor?
There's a mistake, it's not, it's 95,212.
212, thank you. 195,212, right, thank you. The rebates, how much rebates will she get or will the taxpayer get based on the age? Taxpayer is 48 years. Right? How much rebates will the taxpayer get? There is our rebates. Very good, because we are looking at 2015. Because we are looking at 2015. 12,000. Commercial sensor.
726.
Thank you. 12,726.
Yes.
Right? Let's calculate the medical tax credits. Let's calculate the medical tax credits for 2015. Okay, let's see the annexure. How many dependents does this taxpayer has? 4 dependents, right? So we're calculating based on 4 dependents and we are looking at 2015. So we are told that first dependent is 257. Not first dependent, the main member is 257, and the first dependent is 257. Then additional dependents are 172 for each dependent. So for the owner of the medical aid, umnikazi wempuphu 257. Bese kuthi bonke laba ngaphansi kwakhe owokuqala uzoba 257, then additional are 172 each of them. So let's calculate medical tax credits for 2015 for this taxpayer. Okay, no one is found the answer is. So, firstly, we've got the main member 257, right? First dependent 257 plus additional dependents. If she has 4 dependents, it means additional dependents are 3, because the first one is 257. So this is 72 times 3. Yes. All of this at the end we'll have to multiply it by 12. As remember, medical tax credits that were shown on the tax table are not annual, they are monthly. Medical credits in respect of monthly medical aid contribution. So this monthly tells us that you have to multiply it by 12, because everything else you are calculating is annual. So whatever we calculated at the end must be multiplied by 12. And our answer is? Ungasho answer? 12,360. This is our medical tax credit. So when doing this calculation, you will subtract 257 for rebates and subtract 12,360 for medical tax credit. So for 2015-16, how much is the tax payable? For the 2015-16, how much is the tax payable for this gas installer?
250. What is your rate?
Tax will end up being 255,726 for 2015.
Passa 2 episódios aqui, mas estou pesado. Estou pesado.
Yeah,
E tell us when the spending amount in tax 2015.
We have 195,212 as the fixed amount of the bracket. Then we calculated 40% of the difference, which is 240,000.
Please give me,
As 8,600.
please give me the totals of the whole calculation, of this whole calculation. Because we've already broken down the calculation into steps. Now just give me the answer of the whole calculation.
255,726.
There is something that is not subtraction. Okay, any colleague from any side that wants to assist?
It's 197,686.
Alright, thank you. This is the correct answer. 197,686. This is the annual tax payable for the 2015 tax year. For this tax year. Right? 197,686. Right? The question requires us to calculate for both years so that you can be able to compare and verify if the statement is correct or if the calculation is correct. Right? So I'm going to write this answer down here before I wipe the board. 197,686. That's the tax for 2014-2015. Now we are going to calculate the tax for 2016. Remember, we told that it's the same taxable income. It's the same taxable income. If you go back to the question, right, so we're told that it's the same taxable income. Now let's calculate for 2016 tax year. Let's calculate for the 2016 tax year. We've already said here we've got 742,000 taxable income. Let's use the same taxable income for now for 2016. This was 2015. Let us now calculate for 2016. Which tax brackets does this taxpayer fall in the 2016 tax table?
The last one.
The last one, thank you, sir. Now let's just take the formula for the last bracket, because this taxpayer belongs here in this bracket. Right? Remember, now we're looking at 2016, not 2015. So we're now looking at 2016, this year. So the taxpayer falls in this bracket. Let's take this formula as it is. 208,587 plus 41%, 41 over 100 of multiplied by taxable income, the same taxable income, 742,000, above minus 701,300 minus 701,300 close brackets, minus rebates, minus medical tax credits. But now the rebates will be from 2016 and the medical tax credits will be also from 2016. So we're looking at these medical tax credits now. We are not looking at this side. Right? Because the taxpayer falls in the last bracket, we take the last calculation. 208,587 plus 41 over 100 multiplied by taxable income, 742,000 above minus 701,300 close brackets minus rebate. There is our rebate because he's 48 years. He's only getting the one for everyone, which is the primary rebate, and minus medical tax credits, which is given in the table below. Okay, let's find out the workings from our colleagues. Let's find out the workings from our colleagues. For 2016 tax year, we agreed that we are starting with 208,587. And we are adding 41%, which is 41 over 100. Right off, there is word off in the table. We use multiply. Taxable amount, taxable income. There is taxable income, 742,000. Above, we subtract the other amount to get the amount above it. We subtract 673,100 to go to what an amount above 673,100. This must be in brackets because you must first subtract before we multiply. Minus the rebates. Right, the rebates for the 2016 tax year. How much is the rebates for the 2016 tax year? Oh, there is a mistake here.
Yes, yes.
Right. amount above
701.
701 300.
301.
Thank you, sir. 701 300. Right? And then minus how much is the rebase for the 2016
Do
section?
we subtract 300 or 301? 301.
Which loan?
Like we have 7 in the last row, we have 701, 301. Do we subtract that 701, 301?
Here we are guided by the way to here. Because it says 700, 300, 701, 300. We must subtract 701, 300. Right? So we subtract 701, 300. And then the rebase for the 2016 tax year, commercial center?
30,257.
13,257.
That's right.
And then you must subtract the medical tax credit. Again, we are told 4 dependents, which means it's the taxpayer, the first dependent, it's the taxpayer and 4 dependents. So it's the taxpayer, first dependent, and 3 additional dependents. Right? Let's calculate it separately. Medical tax credit. First dependent, main member, the main member or the owner of the medical aid. 270, right? First dependent,
270 again.
270, right? So is the taxpayer, is the first dependent. Therefore, how many additional dependents are left? 3. So how much for each additional?
181.
181. Right, and there's 3 of them, so 181 about 3. So what's the total medical tax credit? Right, don't forget to multiply it by 12. I almost forgot to multiply it by 12.
96.
So the medical tax credit in total, when multiplied by 12, how much is it?
Should be 12,000.
12,306.
26.
Oh, sorry, before. 12,996, thank you. 12,996. Right, this is the medical tax credit that we subtract from our calculation. The one that has been multiplied by 12. Right, so let's do this whole calculation and find out the annual tax payable for the 2016 tax year. Let's do this whole calculation and find out the annual tax payable for 2016. You found it, sir? How much is it? 199,021. Right. Very good commercial center. Very good commercial center. Are doing very well. After this, I will decide that maybe I will only open commercial center. Now let's answer the question. What was the question? Maybe we forgot what was the question. Question was, the data calculator that say annual tax due to SARS will increase by only 150 rand from the 2015 tax year to the 2016 tax year. Verify showing calculation, all calculations whether her calculation is valid. The difference is 150 according to the taxpayer. The difference between the two, this is the one for 2015 and this is the one for 2016. The taxpayer's calculation is that the difference between the two amounts is 150. What difference do you find between the two amounts? What is the difference between the two amounts? Commercial center?
Difference is 1,385 years.
Thank you. Very good. sit down. 1,335. Right. Now, let's answer the question or let's conclude. Was the calculation valid? Was the calculation valid? Because if you don't conclude, you only get 7 marks out of 8. Commercial sensor? Calculation is? I think that's what you said because I didn't hear it clearly. Right, the calculation was not valid. The difference is not 150. The difference is 1,335. Right, the question, the statement was verify showing all calculations where a calculation is valid. Which calculation? The dealer calculated, let's say, annual sales due to SARS would increase by only 150. But according to our calculation, the sales would increase by 1,335. So her calculation was not valid. So we need to do that conclusion for the extra 1 mark at the end. Okay, I hope we are all still together on this one. Any questions, colleagues?
Sir, do you have anything on the calculations of the taxable income?
Calculation of taxable income, yes. Okay, let's do this calculation. My colleague here from the Chancellor Center is asking, what if an is required to calculate the taxable income? Usually they will give a formula, but let's just not assume that they will always. Let's say maybe they didn't give a formula. Colleagues, what if now a learner is required to calculate the taxable income? Right, so we don't have a question for that, unfortunately now. But I know Commercial Center will give us a formula for calculating annual taxable income. Right, Commercial Center, what is the formula for calculating annual taxable income? Right, I hear gross salary, so I'm going to write it down. The gross salary must be annual, right?
Yes.
Yes. Minus annual. Yes, I did say Commercial will give us the answer. Annual pension fund. What else? Yes, I had plus bonus. Plus bonus, right? The plus bonus part, if there is. If there is, yes. So, must alert our learners that not all employees get bonuses at their work. So, they may find a question where there is no bonus. Therefore, the question will end by annual gross salary minus annual pension fund. But if there is a question with a bonus, sometimes the examiner will call the bonus a 13th check. This is a bonus. So if a learner says 13th check, they must know there's a bonus. And they must add it in the calculation. Thank you, sir, for the question. Okay? So the last part of the presentation now is just to see my managers asked me to show an analysis of a BMI chart. So we're going to see some slides on how to analyze a body mass index chart. Alright, let's look at a body mass index chart. Then that's where we're going to end our presentation for now, then go for a break. What is it? Oh, yes, 13 hours. Choosing sensor?
Oh, okay.
Oh. Oh, the thing is 2 stages. One, level on 15. Break also. Okay, so break. Right, let's do this before going to the break. We're not going to do BMI, we're just going to look at 3 charts of BMI chart analysis and then go for a break. We're supposed to go at 12:30 for a break, my apologies for this. Okay, so I'm just going to look at the charts from now, I'm not going to do anything else. So if you have a chart like this, I know it's completely different from what we're doing. Okay, here we've got the age. We've got the age, and on the vertical axis, we've got the BMI values. For example, this is 12, 14, 16, etc. So what's important is for the learner to understand that we are given the age on the horizontal axis. And then we are also given, for example, let's say we're looking at someone who is 17 years old. If you're looking at someone who is 17 years old, the learner must put a ruler next to this 17 and then draw a line up here. If we are looking at someone who is 17 years old and want to find out, and that person has a BMI of 75th percentile, in the 75th percentile, the question is asking what is the BMI value? Given the age, that the person is 17, obviously it's a girl because we are using a chart for girls, and the person's BMI is on the 75th percentile. The question is, what is the BMI value? What is the BMI value for this person? Right? So after drawing a line on 17 for age, then a second line must be drawn. So this line must stop at 75th percentile, and the second line must drawn going up to the BMI value. And the learner must be able to read the value here. So here we can see that this person, from here, this is 22, this is 23. So from 23 to 24, there are 5 spaces, which means it's 0.5. 23.5, sorry, 23, it's called 0.2. So 23.2, 23.4, 23.6. So this value here is 23.6. Let me try to make it bigger. The values between 23 and 24, there are 5 spaces, and then 23.2, 23.4, 23.6. So this is the value. So this is how we must teach them, just like we teach them how to read graphs. Okay. Right, we've got another chart here. Right, 17-year-old, right up to 75th percentile. I try to make this one bigger. Someone who is 17 years old, right, percentile is 75th percentile. So if you are given the age of the child and the percentile curve, on which percentile curve is that learner or that child, you can read the value of the BMI. You can read the value of the BMI for that child. As you can see here, this line takes us directly to the value. So this is 22, so this must be 23. So counting the spaces 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it means this is 23.2, this is 23.4. So your answer will be 23.4 kgs per square meter. Right, so we must teach this to our learners to be able to answer those questions of the BMI charts analysis. Right, now we're looking at someone who's 18 years. First, we are given the age. You take a ruler, you underline, you take this line, this whole line is for 18-year-old. This whole line in red. Right? Sometimes we find that you are given a BMI age and you are given a BMI value. And you are required to find the percentile curve. Right? If you are here, you are between 2 percentile curves. Right? Let's say you are given a BMI value of 31.2. This is 31 and this is 31.2. You are given a BMI value of 31.2 and you are given the age of 18. So you are required to determine in which percentile curve does this learner or this child fall. If it doesn't touch any of the graphs, you check between which 2 graphs is the point. Now it's between the 95th and the 97th percentile. So 18-year-old, this is not 31.7, it was a mistake, it's 31.1. Right, the point is between 95 and 97 percentile. So the learner is allowed to answer like this. If it doesn't touch any of the graphs, the learner must rate between two graphs is the point. This one is between 95 and 97. If it was here, we would say this is between 75th and 85th. So learners are allowed to write an answer like this, if it doesn't touch any of the graphs. We're going to go to question 1 and 2 of November 2015, paper 2. And go to question 1 and 2 of February, March 2018, paper 2. We are focusing on revising paper 2. The first two questions, as I said earlier on, that those two questions will have basics. Your rounding, your percentage, your probability, all those basics will be tested in 1 and 2. So learners will need to learn how to answer those basic questions in paper 2 style. As we know, paper 2 questions are phrased differently. So right now on the board, on our smart boards, we have November 2015, paper 2. Right, you will notice that it will begin with finance, but on the same question, you will also find probability, you will also find percentage, you will also find rounding off. There are many things in one question. It's not like paper 1 where we say question 2 is finance only. Here it's a mixture of questions in one question. So a learner who is doing a revision using paper 2 is just an advantage. Firstly, in math leaves you don't have topics for paper 1 and topics for paper 2. So if a learner is doing paper 2, that learner is also revising for paper 1. And the advantage is this: in paper 2, the question is phrased in a challenging manner. So if a learner can master those questions phrased in a challenging manner, that learner will find those questions much easier in paper 1. Obviously, they have to practice paper 1 also to avoid mistakes, because once the paper is too easy, there are mistakes. But for content, to make them strong in content, I suggest paper 2. We have the question on the board. Mrs. Leti owns a large national cleaning company that cleans office blocks in various cities. 4 years ago, she obtained an additional cleaning contract. She employed additional employees on a contract basis for the 4 years. The Unemployment Insurance Fund, UIF, these are questions for paper 1 where learners are asked to write UIF in full. As you can always hint this along the way whenever doing a finance question. Your UIF, your SARS, your VAT, your ACM, all of those acronyms. Requires that an employer and employee each contributes 1%. Right, as you go along, you need to highlight the important parts of the question. Right, each contributes 1% of the employee's gross monthly salary to the fund. The number of additional employees and their gross salaries are as follows. Right, this company, please make sure that your mic is turned off until you are asking a question. 11 handymen, 272 cleaners, men and women in the ratio of 1:3. 12 supervisors, same gender ratio as cleaners. 11 drivers. Right, note, for the purposes of UIF contributions, the weekly salary is to be calculated by, you have to multiply the weekly salary by 52 and divide by 12 to get a monthly salary. Every time when we say note, that means it is important. Every time when we say note, that means it is important. Okay. Now let's look at 1.1.1. Show with calculations that the gross monthly salary for an additional driver is 3,182 rand 96. Verify and show are two different things. Verify is when it may happen that the statement is valid or the statement is not valid. But show is when the answer is correct, you have to show how it was calculated. So the learner will have to guess 3,182 rand 96. They cannot get a different answer. If it's a different answer, that means the learner's answer is wrong. Alright, can we get the answer for 1.1.1, meaning the workings for the answer? Sorry. Oh. So we're doing 1.1.1. We are showing how the driver's salary was calculated, driver's monthly salary. Okay? We have the weekly salary of the driver, which is 734. Right, we are told that it's a weekly salary. And the note says, for the purposes of UIF, we have to multiply the weekly salary by 52 and divide it by 12. So let's do that, what we are told. Times 52, divided by 12. Right, all the marks are on these steps, the workings, because the question was, show how it was calculated. Show with calculations. For the purposes of UIF, the weekly salary is multiplied by 52, then divided by 12. So the driver's weekly salary, 11 drivers paid weekly, 784.53 cents per week. So we take this weekly salary and we multiply it by 52 and we divide it by 12, as was the instruction. And our answer, 3,182.96. Right, obviously the first question is the easiest. Now let's go to 1.1.2. Calculate the total monthly UIF contributions payable to the UIF for all the additional employees. Right, the key words here, payable to the UIF. Payable to the UIF, monthly contributions payable to the UIF. Because we are told that the employer and the employee each contributes 1%. Each of them contributes 1% of the employee's gross monthly salary to the fund. That's what we are asked to calculate, how much will go to the fund, to the UIF, for all employees, all of these employees. 11 handymen, 272 cleaners, 12 supervisors, 11 drivers. This is why it is 10 marks for all of these employees. Right? Let's find the answers to this one. Let's find the answers to this one. Yes. Yes. So if you are choosing to do it separately one by one, which is, I say that's the only way you can do it. We've got 11 handymen, right? And each handyman is facing a salary of how much per month? Each handyman is receiving a monthly salary of 4,410 rand 37. Right, so times 4,000, 4,410 rand 37. This will give you the total salary for all the handymen, but what you are looking for is the UIF they paid, not only the handyman, the employer also, because we are told each of them contributes 1%. Yes, yes, sir. Right, do you all understand that, colleagues? My colleague here, the Chancellor Center, is saying we must multiply this by 2%. Because we are calculating the amount this will go to the fund. And we were told in the question that to the fund, there will be 1% from the employer and 1% for the employee. Each of them must contribute 1%, therefore, to the fund, under igama lomsebenzi kuzongena ku-2%, not 1%. 1% from the employee and 1% from the employer. Total is 2%. And so how much is the UIF? Phoenix Center. So how much is it going to the UIF? How much is it? How much is our UIF for the handyman? Okay. How much is it? 970 rand 28 cents. Right now, next one is cleaners. Next one is cleaners. How many cleaners do we have? 272. What is the monthly salary of a cleaner? We have to calculate it because it's not given. 272 cleaners, men and women, ratio 1:3, each receiving 18.66 per hour, working 8 hours per day for a total of 20 days a month. So this is giving us a calculation of a cleaner's salary per month. So let's do this calculation. 18.66 per hour. And how many hours per day? 8 hours per day times 8 hours. But we are looking for the month. How many days in a month? Working 20 days in a month. So how much is the? Then multiply this by the percentage for the UIF, which is 2%. So by combining your calculation into one long calculation, you are also saving time and making it more organized. So what is the UIF for the cleaners? Because the total salary for the cleaners is 812,083.20, multiplied by 2%. How much is the total UIF paid by the company for cleaners? I mean paid by the company together with the employees for the cleaners? Okay, colleagues are still calculating. 16,000. Wash center. 241.66 cents. Right. Next category of workers is supervisors. How many supervisors do we have? 12 supervisors. And what is the monthly salary of a supervisor?
Then it should pay more than a cleaner.
Thank you. Each receiving a monthly salary of 280 rand more than a cleaner. So we need to know the monthly salary of a cleaner. Let's use this calculation to find the monthly salary of a cleaner. What is the monthly salary of a cleaner? Yes, Pumasha Center.
2,985.60 cents.
Thank you. So what is the monthly salary of a supervisor? Now we know the monthly salary of a cleaner. What is the monthly salary of a supervisor? Because you are told that the supervisor earns 230 rands more than the cleaner. We'll have to take the salary of a cleaner and add 230 rands. And what is our answer? $3,215. So the salary of a supervisor is 3,215 rand, 60 cents. Yes. Now let's multiply this by 2%. So 12 supervisors times this salary times 2/100. 12 supervisors times 3,215,60. This will give you a total salary of supervisors of 38,587 rand 20 cents, multiplied it by 2%. Alright, 771 rand 74. Right, 744. Okay, the last category of our cleaners is drivers. How many drivers do we have? We have 11 drivers. And what is the monthly salary of a driver? What is the monthly salary of a driver? Josini Sansa? Josini?
Yes, there's a question that Josini, yes.
Yes?
Yes, I have a
Sorry?
on the first step. Hello? I have a question on the first step of 1.1.2. Right? On the first step on 1.1.2. There on our answer. Do we round up or we are just round up today? It's just that I put 970.266 and then I round up I put 970.27 cents. So I show 970.28 cents. So I'm just asking, are we round up or we are just round up?
If it is written in full,
I didn't take on my calculation, I don't know.
okay, if it's written in full, it's 2814. To answer your question whether we should round off or not, in most states, the instruction for rounding off is round off final answers according to the given context. So I think you are correct to ask us this question now. Your question is like, why are we rounding off now? Because now this is not our final answer. We are still going to add these answers to get the final answer. Therefore, the instruction which says round off final answers, we have broken this instruction. So thank you for that reminder that we only round off final answers. So therefore, all of these values must write them in full for now. We only round off the final answer. If it's an amount of money, we round off to 2 decimal places. If it is not an amount of money, we round off according to context. I hope your question is been answered.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So can you give the full amount here as well? This was 66. After multiplying 272, cleaners times 2,985 rand 60 times 2%. We are short of 4 here because you are rounding off the final answer, not these sub answers. Right? Number of drivers is
the last one, 771 and 7 what?
Oh, it's 744. Yes.
774.
It's 771,744. 744. Right, thank you for the reminder from Josine. There's one round of final answers. Now we have drivers, 11 drivers. Each driver is earning a salary per month of how much?
74.
Right, the salary of the driver per month is 3,182.96 because the UIF is calculated on the employee's monthly salary. So we have to take the monthly salary of 3,182.96. Okay, so even if the learner did not know how it was calculated, but it was given. 3,182.96. Okay, multiply that by 2% for the UIF. So for the drivers only, how much is the company paying? The total salary for the drivers is 85,012 rand 56. How much is the UIF for this? 85,012 rand 56 times 2%. Ungasho sensor? $700. 25.2512. Alright? So we've now calculated UIF for all the categories of employees and for all the employees because we've been multiplying by the number of employees in each category. Now we must add the total UIF. That is why the question is 10 months. We must now add the total UIF. How much is our total? Now we can round off because that's our final answer. We can round off this one. Always remind our learners to add R for rents every time they are answering. And now if it's an amount of money, you must have R for rents. We all guess 18,683.94.
97. 97. 18,683. 97.
97 cents. Okay, there will be a error because I said 94, my colleague is saying 97. Okay? So maybe I made an error somewhere. Okay. Right, so this question is 10 marks because of these steps, all of these steps. There are marks for even this calculation of the salary of the cleaner. There is a mark, there are marks for that. Adding 280 for the salary of the supervisor, there are marks for that. Multiplying by 2% because the learner was not told to multiply by 2%. The learner does that because it's 1% for the employer, 1% for the employee, 1%, 1% is 2%. So all of these steps, even adding to get the answer. So all of these steps, they make it 10 marks. Okay. (1.1.3) Legislative said the percentage difference between the salary of the lowest paid additional employee and the mean salary of all additional employees is less than 2%. Verify show all calculations whether a statement is valid. Now we are verifying. We can say it's valid, it's true, or we can say it's not valid, it's not true. Alright, this will depend on our calculation. Okay? The question is talking about two things. The lowest paid employee, the salary of the lowest paid employee. So we must first identify that. What is the salary of the lowest paid employee? Let's go back to our calculation. I think from here we can say the driver is getting paid 3,182. He said this is a driver. The cleaner is getting 2,985. The supervisor is getting 3,215. Rand 60, the handyman is getting 4,407. Of these salaries, this salary for the handyman, this salary for the cleaner, and this salary for the supervisor, and this salary for the driver, which one is the lowest salary? It's the one for the cleaner. 2,985. Right? Yeah, Kashi. That's the lowest one. Okay, so we have identified the lowest salary. It's 2,985, the one for the cleaner. This is the lowest salary. All other salaries are above this one. Right? So why we're identifying that? Because the question is talking about the salary of the lowest paid additional employee. So the question is talking about the lowest salary. And the second thing the question is talking about is the mean salary. So the second thing you have to do is to calculate the mean salary. You have to calculate the mean salary of all additional employees. These are all additional employees because if you read the statement, this was an existing company, this was already working, but the person got an additional tender somewhere and then she had to hire additional employees. So for these employees, for all of these employees, we must calculate the mean salary. Okay, so two things, lowest salary we identified it. Second thing you have to do is to identify or to calculate the mean salary. Okay, can I wipe this off? So two things that are mentioned here is the lowest salary, which is 2,985 rand 60. The second thing that is mentioned here is the mean salary. Let's just calculate the mean salary. Mean salary of all employees. Alright, again, let me ask my learners, my colleagues, what is the formula for calculating the mean? What is the formula for calculating the mean? Commercial center? Right, the sum of all salaries. Divided by the number of employees earning those salaries. Because each salary is earned by an employee. So what's the sum of all the salaries? If you add the salaries for handyman, okay, let me take a question paper. For handyman, we've got 11 handymen, each handyman earning 4,410. So what's the total salary for handyman? Let's do it step by step. Right, for handyman, it's 48,514. Remember, 970 was UIF. 970 was the UIF, not the total salary earned by handyman. If you want to know the salary for handyman, you must multiply 4,410 rand, 87 by 11 handyman to get a salary of 48,000. This is for handyman, 48,514.07. Plus, next, the salary for cleaners. We have 272 cleaners. Each cleaner is earning 2,985 rand, 60. We've calculated this in the previous question. So now, if you want to know the total salary for cleaners, yes?
812,083 rand 20 cents.
Very good. 812,000. And 83 rand 20 cents. Right, now we want to know the salary for the supervisors. Supervisors, we've got 12 supervisors. Each supervisor is earning 3,215 rand 60. Remember, it's 280 rand more than the cleaner's salary. So when you add, we got 3,215 rand 60. Times 12 supervisors. So what's the salary for supervisors? Total?
38,508.
38,587 rand 20 cents. The last category of workers is drivers, and we have 11 drivers. As each driver is paid 3,182.96 per month. We want to know how much total salary was paid to drivers only. So 11 drivers times 3,182.96.
35,012 rand 56 cents.
35,012 rand 56. All over number of employees. How many employees do we have working for this company or for this person? 306, thank you. 4 is the categories. We have handymen, we have cleaners, we have supervisors, we have drivers. But the number of employees is 306. The number of employees is 306. Right? We can't say we've got 4 employees when cleaners alone are 272. So we can't say in this company we've got 4 employees when cleaners alone are 272. 4 is categories of cleaners. We categorize them into 4 categories: handymen, cleaners, supervisors, and drivers. But the number of employees is 306. So now let's calculate the mean. What is our mean? What is our mean? Mean salary. Pungashe Center. Pungashe Center.
3,052,93.
Very good. 3,052. 3,052,93 cents. Now we've got the 2 things that are mentioned in the question. The lowest salary and the mean. We've got the 2 things that are mentioned, but we have not yet answered the question. But now we are one step closer. The question is, or the statement that you are required to verify, says the percentage difference between the salary of the lowest paid additional employee and the mean salary of all additional employees is less than 3%. So we must calculate the percentage difference and see if it is less than 3%. If it's not, then we will say the statement is not valid. But if it's less than 3%, we say the statement is valid. So how do we calculate the percentage difference? We'll try to use small font so everything can fit. Percentage difference or percentage change. How do we calculate it? Yes, right? Yes, so from the Transport Center, my colleague is saying, let us take the mean, 3,052,93, and subtract the salary, the lowest salary of 2,985,60. The mean, or all over. I think my phone is still big. Right? Percentage change is equal to 3,052,93 minus the lowest salary, 2,985,60. This gives me a difference. But I don't want the difference, I want a percentage difference. Right? So to get a percentage difference, what do I do? Right, I will first have to divide
by the
yes.
lowest salary.
Divide by the lowest salary, 2,985 rand 60. Then multiply by 100. So as I get a percentage. Right? And what's my answer? What's my answer? Rice, I get 2,2552%. Sorry, Commercial Center, I know you already got the answer, but I've already written on the board. There is 1 mark missing. So far, this learner is 5 marks. Where is the 6th mark? Where is the other mark? Verifying. Verifying. The last mark is verifying. So what do we say? The statement is valid or the statement is not valid?
It's valid. Plus it's less than 3%.
The statement is valid, yes. The statement was the difference is less than 3%. And we've calculated and we found that yes, it is less than 3%. So the statement is valid. That's the last mark. Mark 6 to conclude the statement is valid. I prefer learners to write this in full. The statement is valid. I'm not saying they will not get a mark, but just to be safe, always teach our learners to be on the safe side. Right? Then when we go to marking center, you can advocate whatever advocates, but when we are teaching them, let's teach them to be safe with their answers. Okay, any questions on 1.1.3? Right, no questions. 1.2. Every month the company randomly selects an employee of the month from all additional employees. Calculates the probability of randomly selecting a female cleaner as the employee of the month, rounded off to 3 decimal places. As I said, we did finance here and we did data handling here. We calculated the mean. Now we are doing probability. We are also doing rounding off. Paper 2 is a variety of questions, a variety of topics. In one question, you can find 5 topics. So it's the best question to use for revising paper 2. Right, let's answer 1.2.1. Calculate the probability of randomly selecting a female cleaner as the employee of the month. Let's go back to the statement about cleaners. How many females do we have? How many males do we have? We're told we have 272 cleaners in the ratio men and women. I don't know, but I always tell my learners this: if there's a statement saying men and women, the learner must write men is to women first, to avoid writing it the other way around. So the first step is to write men is to women, to make sure the learner understands and does not mix the ratio. Because once it's women is to men, then it will be marked wrong. First thing I recommend is that learners write men is to women. Okay? Men and women in ratio 1 is to 3. The question is calculate. We now know if 272 cleaners in the ratio of 1 is to 3. So that means for every 1 men, there are 3 women. So after this, I think then we all agree that we've unpacked the question. You just need to use our calculators. Or it's 1.2.1. Calculate the probability of randomly selecting a female cleaner as the employee of the month. Alright, commercial center.
Probability of selecting a woman is 204 over 272.
Right, so where did we get this 204? 204, okay, let's go back to the question. From where are we selecting these female cleaners? Every month, the company randomly selects an employee of the month from all the additional employees. Not from cleaners only, from all.
Oh.
Yes.
From all, okay.
Yes.
So,
we'll find this when we calculated the mean.
Yes.
So how many employees in total do we have? Because we are selecting from all employees. How many employees? We have that. Remember when we calculated the mean, that's we calculated the total number. 306 employees. So from all of these employees, we want to find out the probability of finding a female cleaner. Right, before we go to the answer, my colleague from Pungashi, how did you find 204? My colleague, how did you arrive at 204?
Okay, we have first added 1 plus 3 and we got 4.
Yes.
Then we have 272 divided by 4. Then we got 68. Then because the ratio says it's 1:4, 68 males. Then the female were 204.
Right. Or you can just go straight. I understand what you did. You calculated males and subtracted from the total. Right, which is also correct. But you can also go straight to women. Since you said 1 plus 3 is 4. That means women are 3 out of 4.
4 times.
Right, women are 3 out of 4. Right? Of the total cleaners, which is 272. Again, learners do this in grade 10. But in grade 12, we don't have activities for this. It just comes up anyway. So this is a disadvantage when it comes to paper 2. These basics, we need to revise. So that's how we got 204. So 3 out of 4, because women are 3 parts out of 4. Then we got 204. Now let's go to the answer. So that means we've got 204 chances of picking a female cleaner, because there are 204 females who are cleaners. Out of total outcomes, which are 306 employees, because the question says once every month the company selects from all employees. So what is our answer? 0.66666 recurring. Okay. Before we round off, you must write the answer is okay, as many sixes as you can write. Right, just to show this is the answer you got. Why? Because there is a mark for accuracy before there is a mark for rounding. There are 2 marks. They are not combined in 1 mark. There is a mark for accuracy and there is a mark for rounding. So let's show the answer first before rounding and then show the answer with rounding. There is an instruction in this question of rounding. There is an instruction. Let's read this instruction. Round it off to 3 decimal places. Calculate the probability of selecting a female cleaner as the employee of the month. Round it off to 3 decimal places. So let's round off to 3 decimal places. Yes. Yes, thank you, colleagues. So we are going to underline 3 decimal places means ngale comma we must have 3 numbers. Ngale comma we must have 3 numbers. So you are going to underline the 3rd number in ngale comma. Then you are going to have 0.66. Before you write down this 3rd number, you must check on the right hand side. Because you have 6, that 6 becomes a 1. 1 plus 6 is 7. So you see this, we teach this in grade 10. But this is examined in paper 2 of grade 12. So paper 2 is an easy paper. Thank you, sir.
What if the question was run, you must run your answer
to the nearest percentage.
To the nearest whole number.
To the nearest whole number. Right. If the question was round off to the nearest whole number, it means you must not have any number after a comma. You must have no comma. You must have a whole number. So you're only writing down 0. But before you write down 0, you check again in the right hand side. On the right hand side you have 6. Right, that 6 must become 1, and 1 plus 0 is 1. If the question was round off to the nearest whole number, or to the nearest percentage, nearest whole number or nearest percentage. Yes, I hope this is helpful to other colleagues. Okay, in the absence of questions, let's continue. 1.2.2. Explain why the chance of randomly selecting a male supervisor as the employee of the month is most unlikely. Right? Most unlikely is an expression of probability. I always say these expressions in grade 10, but when I get to grade 12, I teach it again because I know learners, they will say you've never heard of this before. Right? Expression of probability that we are dealing with now is most unlikely. Right? Maybe we have an answer even before I go to such great lengths as opening the explanation. Why is it most unlikely? The probability of selecting a supervisor. How many supervisors do we have? If we're looking at our question paper, we've got 12 supervisors. How many of those supervisors are male? Remember, I told the supervisors are in the same ratio as cleaners. So they are also in the ratio of 1:3. For every 1 male, there are 3 females. Do we have an answer? What you said?
So it means that
It means there are 3, yes. Yes, thank you. Right, my colleague here is suggesting that if we have got supervisors in the ratio of 1:3, and then we've got 12 supervisors, it means, remember this is male, this is women. So if for a total of 12, if you want to calculate the number of men supervisors, 1 plus 3, it's 1/4. Because 1 plus 3 will be 4, and male are represented by 1 in the ratio. So 1 out of 4, this is the number of males, multiplied by a total of 12. So this is a sharing ratio where men and women are sharing the ratio of 1:3. 1/4 times 12, that means in the whole company there are 3 male supervisors. In the whole staff of 306 employees, there are 3 male supervisors. Yes. So the probability of selecting a male supervisor as the employee, if you are calculating it, this will be 3 out of 306. That means you will have 3 chances out of our savings about 306. If you calculate this as a percentage, this is
0.098.
it's 0. So I calculate 0.980%. Right, it's almost impossible, but because it's not 0, it's not impossible.
No, so I think we've got 2 zeros before 98.
Oh, there is another 0.
2 zeros.
2 zeros, right?
0.0098.
0.0098%.
Oh, you mean as a percent? Oh, you
As a percentage,
oh, as a percentage.
you
Oh,
must multiply it by 100.
yeah, multiplied by 100, I'm sorry.
Right. So it's 0.98%. So the expression of probability for anything less than 25% is most unlikely. Right? I think you remember that, colleagues. Anything less than 25%, we say it is most unlikely. So that's the reason why. Because for now we have not answered the question. Right? We are just explaining the answer that you are going to write down. So the answer is because there are few male supervisors. Right, to be specific, because there are only 3. Out of 306 employees. Right, that's why the probability is most unlikely, because it will be 3 out of 306, which will give us 0.98%. Therefore, it is most unlikely. I calculate it because it is less than 25%. Therefore, that is why it is most unlikely. Okay? Our probability scale ranges from 0% to 100%. 0% is impossible, 100% is guaranteed or certain. 50% even chance, or it is an equal chance. anything less than 25%, anything in this area, anything in probability this is less than 25% is said to be most unlikely. It is most unlikely to happen. That is why the probability of getting a male supervisor as an employee of demand is most unlikely, because as you can see, if we calculate the probability, we get an answer this is less than 25%. So I'm just opening up so that it is open for any answer. This is linking to what we've just unpacked here. Because some learners will say because the probability is less than 25%. Some learners will calculate the probability and say this is why this is most unlikely. So we'll have to accept this, because then I will be showing that they understand why we are saying it is most unlikely. Okay. Questions are still open. At the end of the contract period, some workers may become unemployed. Right? They will be entitled to apply for UIF benefits. You may find the question asking learners, what is the importance of contributing for UIF? This question in a way is teaching learners what is UIF and what it is used for. Because here it's saying if a person becomes unemployed, that person will be entitled to apply for UIF benefits, which they've been contributing for, as we saw in the first question. In the second question. So if a learner is asked what is the UIF used for, UIF, now answer your call. It entitles the employee to benefits if that employee becomes unemployed, or is an insurance against unemployment. Here we are given an extract that if someone was earning a gross salary of 500 when they got fired, the last salary, or when their work was terminated, if their last gross salary was 500, that means they are now going to get 279.40 per month. Obviously, UIF will replace their salary, but not 100%. Here, the percentage shows us the UIF will replace 55.8% of their income that they've been earning. If someone has been earning an income of 500, UIF will replace 55.88%, which means if you calculate 55.88% of 500, they will be getting 279.40, which means UIF will not give them their salary as it is, right? Which will give them their salary according to this table. Now, the easiest thing, when you see missing values here, you know that the examiner is going to ask learners to calculate those missing values. Let us ask learners to calculate the values that are already there, to play with the values that are already given. Let's take our calculators and calculate this 279.40. If you understand the table, this is saying to us, if your last salary was 500 and then your employment is terminated, UIF is going to replace your salary, but not all of it, only 55.88% of it. So let's calculate 55.88% times 500 and find out if it's true that the monthly benefits that you will get from UIF will be 279.40. Is that true? Right? Now let's go back. If you are told that UIF will give you 279.40 and you are earning 500, how much percentage of your last salary has the UIF fund replaced? So meaning you must calculate this amount as a percentage of the 500 you were getting. Right, so we are playing with all the values on the table. So we are calculating 279 comma 4 as a percentage of 500. Looks like an 8. Obviously, we'll have to multiply by hundreds. Right? We are showing the learner how each of the values were calculated. Or the learner is proving to herself or himself before doing the calculation. siyawuthola 55.88%. Lastly, this value 500, so you have not calculated 500. If you are given 279.40, that is the benefits you get from UIF, and you are given the percentage. This amount you are getting is 55.88% of what you were earning. How much were you earning? How are we going to calculate that 500? Now, you are given 279.40, and you are told that is a benefit that you are getting from UIF. And this benefit is not 100% of your salary that you've been earning. It's only 55.8% of your salary, of your last gross salary. How much was your last gross salary? We are pretending as if we did not have the 500. Yes, sir.
Take the benefit like percentage, essentially.
Divided by 55.8. Okay, let's wait for other colleagues. Is Pumache Center still around? Pumache Center, please come back.
You say 279.40 times 100 divided by 55.
Thank you. We are reversing the calculation. Remember, that's a correct answer. Remember, from the 500, this is here, to go to 279.40, we said 500 times 55.88 divided by 100. That's how we got 279.40. So going backwards, we are going to reverse this. And we are going to now say 279.40 times 100. So what's it? 55 over 55.88. Right, so you are going to do an opposite of this because you are going backwards. Right, so if you guess 499.999, this is 500. If you see the values on the table, it looks like all the values have been rounded off. Okay. Right, now we know how each of the three values in the table have been calculated. Right, now let's answer the question. Calculate the missing values A and B. Let's answer the question. Calculate the missing values A and B. The missing value, first one A, is a percentage. When you are given 2,000 Rand as a last gross monthly salary, is now unemployed, and from UIF, the person is getting 964.87. How much percentage of their gross salary is this monthly benefit? That's what this value is asking. Pumache? Don't be shy, Pumache. That's a quick fire. Yes? Yes?
48.24%.
48.2.
96.
Right, workings. 964.
94.87 divided by 2,000 multiplied by 100.
Thank you. Very good. Sit down. Divided by 2,000 multiplied by 100 because you are calculating a percentage. Then we have got 48.2435. Right. This was the value of A. And I'm not sure which one is 3 marks, which one is 2 marks, because there are 5 marks in total. But I'm sure one of them is 3 marks, one is 2. Okay? Let's calculate the second value, which is P. P is now asking you, that's like we calculated 5,000. It's now asking you if you are getting from UIF a benefit of 2,065 Rand 49, and UIF is replacing 41.81% of your last gross monthly salary. What was your last gross monthly salary? How much were you earning? That's like we calculated 500. Fungashe?
4,999.98.
Very good. Please give us the workings.
It's 2,065.49 times 100.
Divided by
Times 100 divided by 41.31.
Divided by 41.31. We are reversing the percentage calculation because we are going backwards. If we are calculating the percentage of this amount, we are going to say this amount sums 41 over 100. But so, because we are going backwards. Then how much is it?
4,999.98.
Right, some learners will round off and write 5,000. Right, looking at the table, the nature of the table is rounding off values. Right, so this will also be accepted. Right, so we've calculated the values of A and B. Right, I hope my colleagues are satisfied with that answer. Draw a line graph that illustrates the relationship between the gross monthly salary and the IRR. The IRR is this percentage on the grid provided on the answer sheets. Okay, I'll just illustrate what the trick is here. Drawing a graph is very easy. Learners have been doing it since grade 8 maths, grade 9 maths, grade 10 maths. They've been doing it forever. But what the trick is now, let's look at the grid as they've given us. This grid that we are given, there are small lines, right? Between 30 and 40, we've got 10 spaces, which means each space is 1, because the numbers also between 30 and 40 is 10. And the intervals, if you count them, they are 10. Those who have a hard copy requested, some of the centers have hard copies, maybe some of the meters. If you count, you've got 10 spaces, meaning 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. But on your graph, the first point that you have to plot, looking at your question, I'll just illustrate with one point what the examiner is doing to our learners. Then you will tell me if it's right or wrong. But I think it's wrong. To trick our learners like this. First point, 500 is to 55.88. There is the point. 500 is to 55.88. Now let's go to the grid. In our grid, we don't see 500s firstly. Okay, I know there is 500, at least there is 500. But we don't see it. So the learner is to find 500 first. Gross monthly salary, 500. So 500 will be here. Because we've got 4 spaces here. Before we reach 2,000, we've got 500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000. Each interval is 500. How does the learner find this interval? It's easy. Take the difference between numbers. 2, 4, 6. So the difference in numbers is 2,000. Then the spaces 1, 2, 3, 4. 2,000 divided by 4 is 500. So it means each interval is 500. So the first one, the first line, I'm not sure if my colleagues can see these lines in between. This one is 500. And we must plot 500 is to 55.88, which is the first point in our graph. The person who was earning 500, when they are not working, they will get 55.88%. So here is 500, right? And here is 50. 51, 52, okay, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56. Between 55 and 56, the point must not touch 55 and must not touch 56. That's what we are marking, going to marking a graph. That is the point in between 55 and 56. Why? Because the point is 55.8. So when I'm looking at the learner's script or graph paper, I'm checking that the point is between the two lines. 55, 56. When the learner is plotting a point, that point must not touch 55, it must not touch 56. Some learners will plot a very big point. You find that the point ends up touching where it's not supposed to be touching. Once it touches 56, it's wrong. So this is the thing in the graph. Most of the points you will find that they must not touch a line, they must be in between them. So find it between which two lines and also ensuring that it does not touch any of those two lines, it's a mark. So let's teach that skill to our learners. Right.
Sorry, sir.
Yes.
What if a learner just put their homework or independent variables? Then the child decides to make his weather easier, then round off this.
And then 499 becomes 5,000.
No,
Okay.
Yeah, 55,88.
So 56.
Yes.
Then that must show in her answer. Right? Because the learner cannot round off what is already given.
Right.
Yeah, but let's say this one was this one for the learner was 5,000.
Right.
If the learner is 5,000 here, then that learner's point must touch 5,000. But if the learner's answer here is 4,999, that point must not touch 5,000. So it will mark according to the learner's answer. Also, I heard this: if the answer is wrong in calculation, when plotting, the learner is not penalized twice. There is a consistency accuracy. So even if it was wrong, but that wrong answer plotted correctly would be a mark. So let's emphasize this as well. That plotting, they must make sure when plotting that they plot correctly, even if they think their answer is wrong. Okay. Right, so the graph, I'll stop there with the graph. Right, question 2. This will take us to the box and whisker plots analysis, which was part of today's presentation. Let's zoom a little, please. Alright, so we have decided to analyze the weight loss of males and females who follow weight loss programs. She found us on the internet about the Biggest Loser Club, a weight loss program in the USA, and weight loss program in the Republic of South Africa. She used the data in table 2 in lecture A to draw box and whisker plots that represent the weight loss of males and females for the two combined programs. So the box and whiskers we'll see will be for both countries, for the combined programs, for USA and for RSA. Right? 2.1.1, determine as a percentage the probability of randomly selecting a South African who participated in the weight loss program and lost more than 20 kgs. Okay, let me open an extra. We are looking for a South African, selecting a South African, right, who participated in the weight loss program and lost more than 20 kg. Let's go to the annexure. Right, what is our answer? We are looking for the probability of finding a South African who participated in the weight loss program and lost more than 20 kg. a South African who participated in Wales and lost more than 20 kg. It's also it's a South African. Yes, so that's our clue. It's a South African.
How many were they in total?
Now I'm a South Africans, so which means you are not even looking at USA because you are told it's a South Africans.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
It's just how it's 12 years.
12,
Then what's the probability?
It's 8 out of 12.
Right, we all get 8 out of 12. Right, what was the other colleagues? Number of chances divided by total counts. A South African who lost more than 20 kg. There are 8 people who lost more than 20 kg out of 12 people. Why are we looking at South Africa only? Why are we not looking at USA? Because the question said a South African. Alright, so we cannot say out 8 over 25. Because we are not looking at all 25 of them. We are only selecting from South Africans. So 8 out of 12 as a percentage. How do we make the probability as a percentage? Because the question is as a percentage.
It's
Multiplied by 100. Because the question is as a percentage. So our answer is? Our answer is? 66.7%. Okay, is there no one divided by 25? No one divided by 25. Okay. Right, next question. Now we are going to work a little bit because it's 7 marks. Right, 2.1.2. Same state said that 7 marks. Same state said that the median weight loss of all males was 33.8 kg. Verify showing all calculations whether a statement is valid. Keyword number is all males. Not USA males, not SA males, all males. The median weight loss of all males was 33.8 kg. Verify showing all calculations whether a statement is valid. So how we go about this one is calculating the median for all males. Right? That's how we do it. We must calculate the median before we can answer whether it's valid or not. 2.1.2. Oh, we need to see the annexure. Let's see the annexure. Right, just by looking at the box and whisker, we can see that this is not true. But we have to verify showing all calculations because of the instruction. Males, remember this is for combined weight loss, so this for all males. The median, as you can see, the median is below 10. Yes. So the statement you can say is not true. But let us calculate because we need to show all calculations. So how do we calculate? How do we calculate the median? How do we calculate the median points? Pumashe sensor, I see your mic is on. Pumashe, nothing I show me, you should see. Yes. Then you say the first thing is to arrange the values in ascending order. The first thing is to arrange these values in ascending order. Right? But you can't arrange values in ascending order if you don't have all the values. You see, there are some values for maize that we don't have. Like this maize here. We only have pounds. We don't have kgs. And the statement we are verifying is saying it says 33.8 kgs. So we need to have all the values in kgs. Yes, and it said all maize. So we need these maize here and we need these maize this side before we can arrange these values in ascending order. Okay? So there is a maize who is 102 pounds that we need to convert. And the male is 5 pounds and the male is 36 pounds. Conversion factor, 1 pound is equal to 0.453592 kg. Okay? Yes? Phoenix? No, I don't think that's it. Right? There are many that we don't know their weights in kgs. There is a male that is in 2 pounds. There is a male who is 55 pounds. And there is a male who is 36 pounds. Right? I think Phoenix is telling us the answer, but maybe we can't hear. We're hearing voices, but we're not hearing what they're saying.
What's our conversion factor?
The conversion factor is 1 pound equal to 0.453592 kgs. So we're using that conversion factor. So let's convert for this male. Let's convert for this male. Felix, please switch off your mic. Phoenix Center, please switch off your mic. Right? 102 pounds?
102 pounds, 102 pounds multiplied by the converting factor, which is 46,267.
Then you said, for this male, it's 46.266. 3 is 4. Right? But you can follow the pattern of the data given, which is rounding up to 2 decimals. Right. Then the male who is 55 pounds in kgs. Phoenix, especially Mike, Phoenix. Phoenix, especially Mike. Right? The male who is 55 pounds in kgs. What is the weight of that man? We convert again using this conversion factor.
24,995.
24,95 kg. If you follow the pattern, this is given on the question paper of rounding off to 2 decimals.
94756.
756, yes. Then the male who is 36 pounds. What is his weight in kgs?
16,329.
Right, 16,32932. Sibuyile Pungash. 9312. Right, so now we can arrange these values in ascending order because now we know the values that we didn't know. The lowest value, remember we're looking at all males. Our lowest value is the male with the lowest weight There is the lowest one, 13.2. Right? That's the lowest one, 13.2. Right? Next one. I think I saw two 13.2s. There's 13.2 kgs here. There's another 13.2. There's another 13.2 in the US. So 13.2, 13.2. Remember, it's the median of all males. 13.2 again. Right? Next one will be 16.3. Right? Next one will be 16.3. If you're looking at our data, there is a male that we calculated where was 36 pounds, and we converted, the male is 16.2 kgs. After 16.3, 16.7, right? 16.7. After 16.7, we're looking for the next one. No, there's a female. And the next male after 16.7 is 18.8. 18.8, thank you. Right, after 18.8, the next male, 23.7. There is 23.7. Alright, the next male will be 23.7. We are arranging them in ascending order. After 23.7, there is a male that you calculated. There is a male that yes, there is a male that you calculated 24.9. Right, after 24.9, after 24.9, 25.6. Right? After 25.6, we're only looking at males. So the next one is 31.6. Next one is 31.6. Right? After 31.6, we're only looking at males. Next one is 37.65. Let me 37.65. After 37.65, that's 43.36. 43.36. Right, the last male is this one. 46.26. 46.27. That's the last male.
Ascending order.
Right, so this is the ascending order. Now, let's find the median. Right? We have an even set of numbers. Can you see that, colleagues? We have an even set of numbers because our center is here. If you count your numbers, this is your center because there is equal numbers on this side and an equal set of numbers on the right hand side. Yes, so the median is between 23.7 and 24.9. So how do you find our median? Thank you, sir. Our median will add these two numbers, 23.7 plus 24.9 all over 2. Right? If you see that some of your learners are not familiar with the calculator or they are making errors, just make them put brackets. Because there is a fraction function which can prevent the learner making a mistake. I'm talking about the mistake where 5 plus 5 all over 2, and learner gets 7.5. because the learner punched 5 plus 5 divided by 2. I'm talking about that mistake. If you want to avoid this mistake with your learners, make them put brackets here. If you see that many of them are doing the mistake, and the calculators they are using, some of them, they are not helpful, so they make them to make mistakes. But all in all, they add the top numbers first, and the answer they get from the top, they must divide it by 2. So our median is 24.3 kg. Right, again we've calculated the median because we have not answered the question. The question was, is it true? Now we see the median of all males is 33.8.
Not true.
Right? The statement is not true. I'm not sure whether it was valid or not valid. This is our last question. Verify showing all calculations whether a statement is valid.
So it's not.
So the answer is the statement is not valid. Right, again the learner must write the full sentence, the statement is not valid. Okay, if it's valid, the learner must use valid. If it's true, the learner must use true and not true. Okay, 2.1.3 is easy, colleagues. It's just that it's 5 marks and you are told to compare. But the reason I'm saying it is because you already have box and whisker plots that have the quotient 3 and quotient 1 values. Because the learners are asked to calculate interquartile range. Because the formula for the interquartile range is not given, the learner must write the formula. Interquartile range is equal to quotient 3 minus quotient 1. There is 1 mark for this, if the formula is not given. So here, all they had to do was look at the box and whiskers and use those box and whiskers, and then state which one is higher than the other. Let's compare them. That's the only thing that the learners had to do, compare the two. But they already had the answers in front of them. They already comparing something that is already given. Right? Because of our of time, this is our last question. I'm just going to open the box and whisker to show why I'm saying this is the easiest 5 marks learner can get in paper 2. Here they are given the box and whisker plots, and they are asked to calculate interquartile range of males and females. Yeah, yes, this is an annex. Yes. So in this annexure they are given, what they need to do is learn how to analyze the box and whisker, because they are not told which one is quotient 3, which one is quotient 1. Secondly, they have to remember the formula because it's not given, the formula for interquartile range. So that's the only thing that was required for this question. So if you are calculating for the males, we will have interquartile range equal to quotient 3 minus quotient 1, or upper quotient minus lower quotient. And take the values as they are given. Quotient 3, this is the value for quotient 3 on the box, and this is the value for quotient 1. So all you have to do is this value minus this value. And when calculating for females, quotient 3 minus quotient 1. And then write down, because they are required to compare, the one for females is higher than the one for males. I think this was the case, yes. IQR for females is higher than the one for males. So all they have to do is remember the formula. Interquartile range is equal to quotient 3 minus quotient 1. Secondly, they have to remember all these values. This is the lowest value, quotient 1, quotient 2, also called median, quotient 3, and the highest value. So I need quotient 3 minus quotient 1. Females, quotient 3 minus quotient 1. And that takes us to the end of our workshop. A special thank you to all the centers participating. Thank you to Pungashi Center especially, and to all the other centers. We'll meet again on the 10th of September as it will be communicated by our service advisors in our districts. Thank you very much. See you on the 10th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Alright, thank you again to all the centers and for cooperation and for participating, for the inputs as well.